Chapter 338. 100 million. Tianyang's laughter echoed throughout the auction hall. Everyone was shocked. Everyone was speechless. Their mouths were opened so wide that they could swallow a duck egg. The highest bid was only 69,550,000, but Tianyang's bid had soared to a terrifying 100 million. Everyone was shocked and found it hard to accept at the same time. After all, such a price was too shocking. 100 million low-grade spiritual stones. It was enough to buy a third-rate force in Night Dome City. It was 1/10 of the Gladiator Arena's annual income. Yet, such a huge amount of wealth was just for a saber. Even the female auctioneer was shocked. 100 million was a price that she would never be able to reach in her lifetime. The female auctioneer's reaction was delayed by half a beat. She then said with a trembling voice, 100 million, the guest in box number 9 has bid 100 million, is there a higher bid? Hearing this, the entire place fell silent. The people from the Dongfang family were also panicking. How is this possible? Someone actually bid 100 million? Impossible. Does this guy not intend to fight for the final treasure? Dongfang Long said angrily. The second elder of the Dongfang family's face turned ugly. I didn't expect a Qing Yaojin to appear halfway. Who exactly is this guy? The second elder of the Dongfang family couldn't help but look at box number 9. However, he didn't see a thing. How could Tianyang let them know that it was him? The Dongfang family was just opposite him. He had also used a small formation to target them. It didn't have much of an effect. It only blocked the line of sight from the front. However, this small effect made the second elder of the Dongfang family furious. This guy came prepared. The second elder of the Dongfang family said angrily. He obviously knew that the Dongfang family was determined to get the Great Sun Saber, but he still attacked and blocked their line of sight. If he wasn't prepared to target the Dongfang family, what else could it be? You may be rich, but my Dongfang family is richer. No matter how rich you are, can you compete with my Dongfang family? My Dongfang family has been operating in Night Dome City for many years. Our foundation is not something a nouveau riche like you can imagine. 110 million low-grade spirit stones. The second elder of the Dongfang family was practically roaring. Hearing this, the entire auction house was shaken. They could all hear that the Dongfang family was truly enraged this time. 1 million low-grade spirit stones. When Tianyang heard this, he chuckled and called out his bid again. Hearing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family almost choked to death from the anger in his heart. Just a moment ago, he had boldly increased the price by more than 30 million low-grade spirit stones. But now, he only added 10,000 to deal with the Dongfang family? A minimum of 10,000? You're humiliating the Dongfang family. The second elder of the Dongfang family stood up abruptly and roared at the Tianyang bok. Upon hearing this, Tianyang's eyes slightly narrowed as he softly chuckled. That's right, I am humiliating your Dongfang family. Come, hit me. Tianyang chuckled. In the last sentence, he deliberately paused between each word. Coupled with the rising tone of his voice, it could be said that it was as despicable as it could be, as ridiculing as it could be. Not only was the second elder of the Dongfang family furious, even Beigong Wu and Jiang Nanyu, who had run over to the Beigong family box, couldn't help but blush with shame. Tianyang has offended the Dongfang family to the core. Pfft. Hearing this, Ling Yuhan couldn't help but laugh. Master, you're amazing. Look at that old man, he's about to spit fire. On the other hand, Flying Sword's expression was strange. He didn't expect Tianyang to have such a side. As the person involved, Tianyang only curled his lip. When dealing with a despicable person, naturally there was another way. Since they were already enemies, Tianyang wasn't afraid of deepening the hatred. Good, good, good. You're the first person who dares to humiliate the Dongfang family. Don't let me know who you are. After a long while, the second elder of the Dongfang family finally caught his breath. He pointed at Tianyang and roared. His true origin, which was at the peak of the second heaven of the Tao fire realm, completely erupted and suppressed the entire place. In an instant, the entire auction house was dead silent. The Beigong family, Shiman family, and Nangong family all frowned slightly. This was the Tianhe Grand Auction. As for Tianyang, in the face of this pressure, he only smiled lightly and flicked his finger. In an instant, the terrifying pressure that had suppressed everyone to the point of suffocation dissipated. This is the Tianhe Grand Auction. It's not a place where any Tom, Dick, or Harry can behave atrociously. I'm doing this for your own good. Otherwise, if you cause trouble here, when the people of the Tianhe Trading Company take action, I'm afraid you'll have to crawl out. Tianyang sneered, not giving the other party any face. Hearing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family became even angrier. However, he immediately sobered up, his back soaked in cold sweat. Tianyang was right. This was the Tianhe Grand Auction. The Tianhe Trading Company's influence spanned the entire firmament territory. In terms of background and power, it was not something an ordinary person could provoke. Even if he was the second elder of the Dongfang family, he still could not. In the dark, a person who had been staring at the second elder of the Dongfang family retracted his gaze when he saw the pressure dissipate. Humph! Although the second elder of the Dongfang family had retracted his pressure, he was still burning with rage. In that case, I'll crush you with my wealth. The Dongfang family's background is not something you can imagine. 120 million low-grade spiritual stones. The second elder almost roared. Hearing this, the young auctioneer trembled all over. She did not expect such a person like the second elder of the Dongfang family to be so enraged. However, when he saw this scene, Tianyang's face immediately turned cold. What he hated the most were those who were arrogant and did not care about the interests of others. You want to compete with your wealth, right? Tianyang stood up, his face cold and imposing. Since you want to compete with your wealth, I'll show you what true despair is. In the next moment, an emperor's aura was released. It was even more terrifying than the aura of the second heaven of the Tao fire realm. This time, even the person hiding in the dark was trembling all over, sweating profusely and unable to breathe. What kind of existence is this? That person's face was filled with shock. This aura was something that even their president, who was infinitely close to the half-step sea of Soul Realm, could not achieve. At this moment, Tianyang's voice, which seemed to have come from the Nine Heavens cold region, resounded throughout the entire place. 150 million low-grade spiritual stones. Dongfang family, let me ask you a question. Chapter 339. Can you afford this? Tianyang's extremely cold and mocking voice rang throughout the entire venue. Hearing this, almost everyone couldn't help but break out in cold sweat for Tianyang. He wasn't mocking an ordinary person, but one of the four great families of Xiaoqiong City, the Dongfang family. The four great families were evenly matched in terms of strength, but the Dongfang family was undoubtedly one of the best. This voice didn't sound old, but he dared to provoke the Dongfang family. The Dongfang family is probably going to take revenge on this kid. The four great families won't tolerate this level of provocation. Below, in the ordinary seats, a skinny old man chuckled strangely. Seeing this, the crowd's expression changed. This person wasn't some random passerby, but a well-known figure in Xiaoqiong City. First-level Tao Fire Realm Cultivator, Black Demon Ho Lin. Ho Lin's strength was unfathomable, and the strange martial technique that he cultivated was impossible to guard against. Once he used it, his palm would turn pitch black. It was like the palm of a devil, able to inadvertently penetrate any defense and kill the enemy in one strike. It was because of this strange martial technique that Ho Lin was called the Black Demon and was feared by the crowd. Now that even Black Demon Ho Lin had said this, The youth who provoked the Dongfang family most likely wouldn't be able to escape this calamity. Tianyong, who was standing in the box, still had a cold expression on his face as he looked down at the furious second elder of the Dongfang family with unparalleled dominance. What? The great Dongfang family can't even afford 150 million. Can this be called one of the four great families? Tianyong showed no mercy. Hearing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family flew into a rage. His pale and skinny arms trembled as he almost roared out in anger. As the second elder of the Dongfang family, he was usually high and mighty. When had he ever suffered such humiliation? Second elder, please reconsider, Dongfang Long hurriedly said when he saw this. Although he greatly desired this quasi-spiritual treasure blade, it was still lacking compared to the final treasure, the great Sun Divine Blade. If we get angry now, we won't have the financial resources to fight for the last thing. Dongfang Long tried his best to dissuade him. Hearing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family took a deep breath and forcefully suppressed the rage in his heart. Amir Jr. actually dared to ridicule the Dongfang family. I'll let this brat go this once. However, even if the great Sun Divine Saber doesn't belong to the Dongfang family, it still belongs to the Dongfang family. The second elder of the Dongfang family roared angrily. Following which, an extremely cold expression flashed across his face. The auction is not a place where you can obtain treasures just because you have money. I'll leave the great Sun Divine Saber with you for now. When the time comes, said the second elder with a cold smile. Dongfang Long's face turned gloomy when he heard that. Even though he didn't know who that person was, how dare he try to steal his great Sun Divine Blade? Then, he would definitely die. Then, no matter how unwilling the second elder of the Dongfang family was, he could only say, "Sir, it really is money. Many. I'll let you have the great Sun Divine Saber for now." This gloomy tone was as if he was afraid that no one would be able to hear it. This caused the crowd to tremble. The Hei Mo's words from before echoed in their hearts. They sighed in their hearts. So what if you have money? In the face of true power, no matter how much money you have, it's just an illusion. Hearing this, Tianyong was a little surprised. Then, he thought of the Dongfang family's tricks and chuckled. Everyone in the Dongfang family box, no matter how well they hid, was nothing in front of the spiritual energy of the peak of the heavenly ascension realm. Of the 8 people, 5 of them were only at the energy transformation realm. They were probably insignificant people. The other 2 were only at the first heaven of the Tao Fire realm. One of them had an unstable aura. He should be a genius of the Dongfang family who was here to broaden his horizons. The last one made Tianyong's expression change slightly. He was at the second heaven of the Tao Fire realm and had been in this realm for quite some time. His foundation was solid and his battle strength was not to be underestimated. I wonder if I can compete with a cultivator at the second heaven of the Tao Fire realm after using my sky-devouring secret technique? Tianyong licked his lips and chuckled. At this moment, the auctioneer knocked the hammer 3 times in a row, announcing the ownership of the great Sun Divine Saber. Following this, another wave of rare treasures was auctioned. The atmosphere in the auction house became lively again. However, Tianyong was not interested. It was the same for Ling Yuhan and Dao Feiyong. Both of them were extraordinarily talented, so they would not be interested in ordinary rare treasures. However, there was a half-grade 5 pill called the Death Spirit Pill that made Tianyong's heart move. He had heard of the Death Spirit Pill before. It was a strange pill that squeezed out one's life force and potential in exchange for a temporary increase in battle strength. The side effects of this pill were great. Not only did it consume one's life force, it also consumed one's potential, making it difficult to progress on the path of martial arts. However, the effect was enough to make a cultivator at the third heaven of the Tao Fire realm equal to a cultivator at the first heaven of the Sea of Soul realm. It's a pity that I already have the sky-devouring secret technique. In terms of effect, this death spirit pill is superior. In terms of side effects, it has almost no side effects. I don't need this death spirit pill. Tianyang muttered to himself. After bidding up the price, he stopped. He did not need it. Following this, it was the auction of the Cold Sky Sword. The Cold Sky Sword was a low-grade spiritual weapon. Its value was even higher than the half-grade 5 death spirit pill, which had huge side effects. After all, weapons of the ice attribute were rare. Moreover, the Cold Sky Sword was a low-grade spiritual weapon. The entire auction house went crazy. However, in the face of Tianyang's bid of 200 million, they had no choice but to give up. Although the Dongfang family and the other 3 big families had more space to compete for the low-grade spiritual weapon, they could not compete for it. However, in the face of Tianyang's unreasonable and tyrannical bid, all they could do was sigh and lament their inadequacy. Although a low-grade spiritual weapon was good, it was too expensive. As for Tianyang, he did not care. He had 4 million high-grade spiritual stones. In terms of low-grade spiritual stones, it was 40 billion. 40 billion low-grade spiritual stones were enough for him to buy 200 Cold Sky Sword. Tianyang naturally did not care. However, even so, Ling Yuhan was moved to tears. Her impression of Tianyang increased by a few percentage points. After that, Tianyang did not bid much. However, every time he bid, he was extremely powerful. Whatever he wanted, he got it all. In the end, the finale finally arrived. Next, it's the finale of our Milky Way Grand Auction. The girl shouted. In the next moment, a bead, which was as red as a small sun, suddenly rose. At the same time, it exuded a boundless dragon's aura. The entire auction house was in an uproar. Even Tianyang's expression changed, revealing a trace of surprise. Chapter 340. Spiritual Sea Dragon Pearl. The moment these words were uttered, the entire auction house was in an uproar. The originally quiet auction house seemed to have turned into a wet market in an instant. From the Transformation Realm cultivators to the Tao Fire Realm cultivators, everyone was excited. To them, they might not be able to see a Spiritual Sea Realm cultivator even once in their lifetime. However, in the Heavenly River Grand Auction, they actually saw a Spiritual Sea Realm cultivator's relic. Although this Spiritual Sea Realm cultivator was not a human and was only a rank 5 dragon, it was still enough to make them extremely excited. The strong, regardless of race, should be revered by thousands. It is indeed the Spiritual Sea Dragon Pearl. Not bad, not bad. In the Dongfang family box, the second elder of the Dongfang family stroked his long beard and smiled. The reason why they had to swallow their anger during the battle with Tianyang and had to back down when Tianyang maliciously raised the price was because of this. A Spiritual Sea Realm Dragon Pearl. It contained a huge amount of dragon essence that was extremely useful even to a peak level 3 Tao Fire Realm cultivator. Not to mention him, a level 2 Tao Fire Realm cultivator. My Dongfang family is determined to get this dragon pearl. The second elder of the Dongfang family roared. Hearing this, Dongfang Long revealed a mocking smile. Our Dongfang family has prepared a total of 3 billion low-grade spirit stones. We only spent 1.5 billion in the auction. We still have a total of 1.5 billion low-grade spirit stones to fight for this Spiritual Sea Dragon Pearl. Haha, among the 4 great families, only our Dongfang family has an insider in the Heavenly River Trading Company. I'm afraid the others are still in the dark and only found out now. Even if they gather the spirit stones now, they can't compete with our Dongfang family's preparations. Dongfang Long laughed wildly, his words full of contempt for the others. If it wasn't for that little bastard Tianyang, our Dongfang family would have paid a total of 20 billion. Otherwise, how could we only have 3 billion? However, luckily we caught them off guard this time. Otherwise, we might not have been able to get it with 3 billion. The second elder of the Dongfang family said coldly. At this moment, the girl's introduction was coming to an end. The spiritual sea dragon pearl contains an enormous amount of dragon power essence. If you refine it, not only will your physical strength increase, even your true yuan will be strengthened by the dragon power. If I hand it over to the dragon clan will be extremely grateful. This spiritual sea dragon pearl is extremely valuable, whether you use it yourself or give it to someone else. The young female auctioneer tried her best to introduce the item. Hearing this, the crowd became even more excited. Even if they couldn't use it, they could still sell it to the Dragon Clan. The Dragon Clan was one of the most powerful clans in the Sky Continent. Not only were they extremely powerful, they were also extremely wealthy. The Dragon Clan's reward would definitely not be less than the price he had to pay. Then, without further ado, the final item of the Heavenly River Grand Auction, the Spirit Sea Dragon Pearl, starts at 500 million low-grade spirit stones. The auction begins. The girl shouted. Hearing the starting price of 500 million low-grade spirit stones, everyone was shocked. 500 million low-grade spirit stones. Even the second-rate clans or forces in Sky Dome City would suffer a huge loss if they took out such a huge amount of spirit stones. However, some people did not think much of it. To them, 500 million low-grade spirit stones was nothing. What gave them a headache was the crazy bidding war that would follow. D***eminent, the final item is the Spiritual Sea Dragon Pearl? D***eminent, the Heavenly River Trading Company did not release any news at all. I did not bring that much money with me. The people of the Nangong family were extremely anxious. The leader of the Nangong family, Nangong Zhan, was even more anxious. That was the Spiritual Sea Dragon Pearl. He had been stuck at level 3 Dao Fire Realm for a long time. If he could obtain the Spiritual Sea Dragon Pearl, even if he could not successfully break through to the Spiritual Sea Realm, he would still be able to reach the half-spiritual Sea Realm. At that time, he would definitely be able to lead the Nangong family to become the leader of the 4 great families. No, we can't just sit here and wait. Zhen, hurry up and ask the family to gather as many spirit stones as you can. We must get the Spiritual Sea Dragon Pearl. Hearing this, Nangong Zhen's face turned cold. He hurriedly agreed and walked out. The Beigong family was also in a panic. There's a Spiritual Sea Dragon Pearl. Beigong Wu, hurry up and inform the family. Get as much as you can. The great elder of the Beigong family's face changed and hurriedly said to Beigong Wu. Hearing this, Beigong Wu hurriedly nodded and left. The Shiman family did the same. In an instant, the entire auction house was in a panic. The young lady had seen many large-scale auctions, and her expression was natural. She also understood that at this moment, everyone was busy gathering the spirit stones. A moment of silence was inevitable. As for Tianyang, who was sitting in room 9, his face changed slightly. His physical body had already reached the peak of the heavenly dragon body. He was only a little bit away from the true dragon body. If he could cultivate the true dragon body before the intersect competition, then he would have more confidence in the intersect competition. The 9 refined dragon body was a top-notch body, refining martial technique. Every level up was significant to Tianyang. At the very least, Tianyang's combat strength would increase tremendously because of this. However, Tianyang did not make the first move. He only smiled as if he was thinking about something. At this moment, a bid was heard from the Nangong family. 600 million lower spiritual stones. The Nangong family head, Nangong Zhan, roared, trying to gain the upper hand by showing his strength. At this moment, the other families and wealthy rogue cultivators realized that they could not let the Nangong family take the lead. 700 million lower spiritual stones. 750 million lower spiritual stones. 800 million lower spiritual stones. 810 million lower spiritual stones. The people of the major aristocratic families shouted angrily. Hundreds of millions of low-grade spirit stones were like a few dollars in their mouths, and they could easily blurt it out. When the Dongfang family head saw this, his face changed slightly. He turned to Dongfang Long and said, "It seems like it's still not enough. Go and ask the family to get more. At least we can take precautions." Hearing this, Dongfang Long agreed loudly. In the auction house, the various families were still fighting to the death. It was extremely intense. 900 million lower spiritual stones. 910 million. 915 million. When the number reached a certain limit, everyone's bidding slowed down a little. However, the competition was still incomparably intense. Some of the slightly wealthy rogue cultivators could still join in at the beginning. However, towards the end, they could only be shocked by the wealth of the various families. Even an expert at the third level of the Dao Fire realm might not be able to take out hundreds of millions of low-grade spirit stones. 1 billion! The second elder of the Dongfang family suddenly stood up and roared crazily. Chapter 341. 1 billion low-grade spirit stones. The second elder of the Dongfang family could not help but make a move. With the wealth they had prepared, it would be strange if they did not make a move. 1 billion. 1 billion low-grade spirit stones was equivalent to 10 million mid-grade spirit stones and 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones. 100,000 upper-grade spirit stones was enough for an ordinary cultivator to cultivate from the body refinement realm to the Dao Fire realm. 1 billion upper-grade spirit stones could be used to pave the floor of a mansion that was tens of thousands of square meters. This level of wealth belonged to the 4 great clans that everyone knew. Hearing the second elder of the Dongfang family's roar, the crowd could not help but gasp. 1 billion, what kind of concept was that? Spirit weapons were treasures used by Dao Fire Realm, Sea of Spirit Realm, and Heaven Ascension Realm cultivators. Some of the weaker Dao Fire Realm cultivators were even using high-grade artifacts. A quasi-spirit weapon was enough for Dao Fire Realm cultivators to use, but a quasi-spirit weapon used by Dao Fire Realm cultivators was only auctioned for 150 million. A low-grade spirit weapon used by an ordinary Sea of Spirit Realm cultivator was only auctioned for 200 million low-grade spirit stones. However, a single spirit sea dragon pearl was enough to destroy both of them. 1 billion is okay. Tianyang's expression did not change as he chuckled. This Dongfang family is quite bold. At this time, the major families have not prepared their own funds. However, the auction time is limited. That's why they offered such a price in such a short time. Tianyang laughed. He saw through the Dongfang family's tricks clearly. However, the Dongfang family neglected the existence of Tianyang, who had 40 billion low-grade spirit stones. In terms of wealth, he was a super tycoon. "Master, you're not going to make a move?" Hearing this, Ling Yuhan was stunned for a moment before replying. "I'm determined to get this spirit sea dragon pearl, but I don't plan to spend money to buy it." Tianyang smiled indifferently. Previously, he saw red in the eyes of the Dongfang family members. Naked killing intent. Since the Dongfang family wanted to play dirty tricks, Tianyang naturally could not continue to be a gentleman. The road of emperor was paved with corpses and bones. Those who could become great emperors of their generation all had their hands stained with blood. To deal with evil people, one naturally had to use even more evil methods. Tianyang had never been a kind saint. Of course, even if the Dongfang family were to pay for it, it wouldn't be so easy for him. Tianyang's lips curled into a mischievous smile as he shouted, 1 billion. Hearing this, the face of the Dongfang family's second elder, who thought that he had the upper hand and could obtain the spirit sea dragon pearl at the lowest price, instantly turned as ugly as if he had just eaten shit. Looking in the direction of the voice, their faces darkened. It was actually the person who had slapped the Dongfang family's face multiple times in the past. Bastard. Previously, I let you guys go because I needed to save up money to deal with this spirit sea dragon pearl. Now, just wait to be crushed to death by the enormous wealth of the Dongfang family. The Dongfang family's second elder laughed maniacally. 1.01 billion low-grade spirit stones. Hearing this, the entire auction house was in an uproar. 1.01 billion low-grade spirit stones, this price was simply terrifying. It was almost enough to buy the existence of a second-rate force in Shaoqiong City. However, facing such a huge sum, Tianyang merely raised his eyelids. Sitting on 40 billion, dealing with a billion was just child's play. 1.01 billion. 1.2 billion. 1.02 billion. 1.3 billion. 1.03 billion. 14. Bastard! You tricked us. The Dongfang family's second elder was about to speak when he suddenly understood. Tianyang increased the price by 10,000, so he increased it by 100 million? Even a sucker shouldn't be taken advantage of like this. The Dongfang family's second elder's eyes were almost spitting fire as he stared fixedly at the blurry figure in box number 9. Little bastard, I'm going to tear you into pieces. The aura of the second heaven of Dao Fire Realm fluctuated continuously but was firmly suppressed. However, one could tell from the Dongfang family's second elder's extremely gloomy face. At this moment, the Dongfang family's second elder was furious. Hearing this, Tianyang raised an eyebrow and sneered, "Who's the bastard scolding?" The Dongfang family's second elder did not even turn his head. "The bastard scolded you. Oh, I see. Sorry for the disrespect. So the Dongfang family's second elder is a bastard. I'm really sorry for being so calculative with a bastard." Tianyang leisurely sighed. Hearing this, the group of people were confused. Then, they understood one by one. Ha 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 ha. The entire auction house roared with laughter. Even a few old rogue cultivators who had been famous for a long time could not help but laugh. The entire auction house was filled with a cheerful atmosphere. As the person involved, the Dongfang family's second elder, was about to explode in anger. "Little bastard, you're too much. Old bastard, you're not done yet, are you? If you're poor, don't come to the Heavenly River auction. If you don't bid, this Spirit Sea Dragon Pearl is mine." Tianyang laughed lightly and said casually. However, it was because of this casual tone that the effect was so strong. At the very least, the Dongfang family's second elder spat out a mouthful of old blood and almost fainted from anger. Good, good, good. After taking a deep breath, the Dongfang family's second elder recovered and said the word good 3 times in a row. Isn't it just a competition of wealth? The Dongfang family is not afraid of this. 1,050 million. 1,050 million and 10,000. Tianyang rubbed his ears and said unconcernedly. Hearing this number, the Dongfang family's second elder almost spat out another mouthful of blood. However, he forced it down and said coldly, 1,400 million. 1,400 million. I'm sorry, I'm going to smash you to death with spirit stones. 2 billion. Tianyang laughed lightly and changed the topic immediately. The moment he opened his mouth, 2 billion low-grade spirit stones were thrown out. His silk pants aura was fully displayed. If acting skills could be graded, Tianyang would give himself 100 points. 2 billion. Hearing this number, the crowd sucked in a breath of cold air again. This was really too strong. 2 billion low-grade spirit stones. Among the 4 great families, even the Shiman family, which was one of the weaker ones, would not be able to take out such a huge sum of 2 billion low-grade spirit stones. However, this unknown young man actually opened his mouth and said 2 billion. That arrogant silk pants look of his clearly showed that he was not bluffing. He really was rich. After hearing this, the Dongfang family's second elder's expression froze. He did not even have 1,700 million on hand. Against 2 billion, he did not have the strength to do so. Could it be that this Spirit Sea Dragon Pearl, which could bring the Dongfang family to another level, was just going to be handed over to someone else? Second Elder. The family has asked me to bring another 1 billion low-grade spirit stones. At this moment, a tall figure suddenly burst through the door and rushed in. This person was Dongfang Long, whom the Dongfang family's second elder had asked to raise money. Hearing this, the Dongfang family's second elder seemed to have been injected with a dose of cardiac stimulant. His originally dejected face was once again filled with radiance. Good, good, good. When we return to the family later, I will definitely let the family head record this merit. The Dongfang family's second elder was overjoyed as he took the 1 billion low-grade spirit stones from Dongfang Long and laughed maniacally. Since you offered 2 billion, then the Dongfang family will offer 2 billion and 500 million. 2 billion and 500 million. I will show you what it means to have unstoppable wealth. Kid, why aren't you saying anything? Haha, are you convinced by the wealth of the Dongfang family? Ha 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 ha. The Dongfang family's second elder laughed maniacally. Hearing this, Tianyang's lips curled into a smile. Perfect. However, after that, Tianyang still pretended to be disappointed and sighed. You are indeed an expert at throwing money around. This one has lost. The Dongfang family is indeed rich. At the same time, the Spirit Sea Dragon Pearl, which is worth 2 billion at most, can be added by 500 million. The Dongfang family is really. Chapter 342. A fool with a lot of money. When the words Heavenly Son were spoken, the entire auction house became so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Pfft. Ling Yuhan couldn't help but laugh. Those words were too cruel. In an instant, the Dongfang family went from being the winner to being a fool with a lot of money. However, Tianyang didn't say those words just to disgust the Dongfang family. Although the spiritual sea dragon pearl was expensive, it wasn't too expensive. 2 billion low-grade spiritual stones was its limit. Any more, even if it was just one low-grade spiritual stone, would be a loss. But the Dongfang family threw in 5 billion in a fit of pique, wasting 500 million low-grade spirit stones. If this wasn't a fool with a lot of money, then who was? In the Dongfang family box, the second elder was so angry that his face turned green. The joy of winning the auction was instantly extinguished by Tianyang's words. Then, his face turned furious. The hearts of everyone in the auction house shook slightly as they secretly smacked their lips. Tianyang's words had undoubtedly infuriated the Dongfang family. Even if the person in box number 9 had a powerful background, a powerful dragon could not suppress a local snake. As the local snake of Night Dome City, the Dongfang family would never let him off so easily. 5 billion low-grade spirit stones going once. 5 billion low-grade spirit stones going twice. 5 billion low-grade spirit stones going thrice. Congratulations to the VIP in VIP Room 13 for obtaining the valuable Spirit Sea Dragon Pearl. Now, with the Spiritual Sea Dragon Pearl in the hands of the Dongfang family, this year's Heavenly River Grand Auction has come to a successful end. Thank you, everyone, for your support. The auctioneer hurriedly hammered the hammer 3 times to announce the end of the auction. Then, she said a few words and left. Anyone could imagine that this time, the Dongfang family would not take this lying down. She was just a small auctioneer. She couldn't afford to be involved in such a big event. Haha, congratulations, congratulations. Walking out of the box, the great elder of the Beigong family walked towards the second elder of the Dongfang family with a gloating look on his face. Congratulations on winning the Spirit Sea Dragon Pearl, brother. Tisk tsk 5 billion. Even my Beigong family can't easily take out that much money. The Dongfang family is indeed wealthy. The great elder of the Beigong family laughed heartily. Hearing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family's expression darkened. With a flick of his sleeve, he headed backstage to settle the bill. Since they had already announced 5 billion, they naturally had to hand it over as well. The Tianhe Trading Company had influence all over the firmament territory. It was not something that the Dongfang family could afford to offend. On the other hand, Tianyang leisurely walked out of room number 9. On the other hand, Ling Yuhan, who was standing at the side, was trying to stifle her laughter. That move just now was simply too powerful. The Dongfang family, who could have gotten the spiritual sea dragon pearl for 1 billion, were enraged by Tianyang and raised the price to 2.5 billion. 2.5 billion low-grade spiritual stones. Such a terrifying number had never appeared even in the previous Tianhe auctions. It could be said that this was the highest price in all the auctions in Firmament City. However, the Dongfang family, who had created this record, did not look too happy. A total of 3.8 billion low-grade spiritual stones. Sir, please quickly count them. The manager of the Tianhe Trading Company smiled. Hearing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family's expression darkened again. He took out a space bag and threw it to the manager. No one would be happy to spend an extra billion low-grade spiritual stones for no reason. At this moment, the second elder of the Dongfang family found everyone an eyesore. Yes, 3.8 billion low-grade spiritual stones. Not bad. Sir, you may leave now. By the way, congratulations to the Dongfang family for obtaining the spiritual sea dragon pearl. The manager of the Tianhe Trading Company smiled. Hearing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family's expression turned even uglier. He snorted coldly, kept the auction items he had obtained into the space bag, and planned to leave. This time, because of that damned room number 9, the Dongfang family had lost a lot of face. The second elder of the Dongfang family did not want to stay in the Tianhe Trading Company for even a second. Take care. I won't send you off. The manager of the Tianhe Trading Company smiled. At this moment, Tianyang and the other two arrived backstage. They bumped into the second elder of the Dongfang family, who was about to leave. Tianyang, the second elder of the Dongfang family, who had just calmed down, was immediately enraged. He would never forget that it was this Tianyang who had snatched 20 billion low-grade spiritual stones from the hands of the Dongfang family. One must know that the Dongfang family had to sell off many treasures in order to obtain these 20 billion low-grade spiritual stones. However, Tianyang had single-handedly swallowed them all. As the second elder of the Dongfang family, how could he forget such a huge grudge? What are you calling me for? Hearing this, Tianyang chuckled and faced the second elder of the Dongfang family. Why, do you think I'm too handsome? Hearing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family's expression turned even uglier. Then, his expression changed slightly as he looked at Tianyang. Previously, he didn't seem to have seen Tianyang among the ordinary seats below. As for the private rooms, he knew who most of them were. There were only a few that he didn't know at all. Private room number 9 was one of them. Could this kid be the bastard from private room number 9? The second elder of the Dongfang family's expression changed slightly. He decided not to leave and just stood there, watching Tianyang and the other two collect the auction items. Since they were here backstage, they must be here to collect the items. As long as either the Great Sun Divine Saber or the Skyfrost Sword appeared in Tianyang's hands, it would prove that he was from private room number 9. Not bad. Although this Skyfrost Sword is only a low-grade spiritual weapon, its quality is not bad. This Great Sun Divine Saber. Fei Yang, I remember that I have a saber technique that is very suitable for this saber. I'll give it to you when we get back. Tianyang's faint laughter was heard. Hearing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family's expression turned extremely ugly. Tianyang was actually the person from private room number 9 that he wanted to tear into pieces. Tianyang, I'm going to kill you! The second elder of the Dongfang family roared crazily. The aura of a second firmament, Dao Fire Realm, exploded completely. In the next moment, it engulfed the entire backstage. Feeling this pressure, the flying sword and Ling Yuhan groaned, clearly unable to withstand it. As for Tianyang, his expression turned extremely ugly. Before he could make a move, the manager of the Tianhe Trading Company snorted coldly. The powerful aura of a second firmament Dao fire realm exploded from the manager's body. It directly countered the aura of the second elder of the Dongfang family. No matter what grudges you have, don't forget that this is the Tianhe Trading Company, the manager said coldly. Hearing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family's expression changed slightly. Very reluctantly, he retracted his aura and glared at Tianyang. Just wash your neck and wait. Hearing this, Tianyang smiled indifferently. Sorry, I feel that your neck has been bearing the weight for so many years. It's time for it to rest. Hearing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family's expression turned cold. He snorted coldly and turned to leave. In terms of eloquence, this old fellow definitely could not compare to Tianyang. However, in his heart, he had already given Tianyang the death penalty. Tianyang only withdrew his arrogant attitude when the second elder of the Dongfang family left. His expression changed slightly. At this time, the manager had already handed over all the auction items that Tianyang had obtained. As Tianyang was collecting them, he said in a low voice, "The second elder of the Dongfang family is vengeful. The second elder of the Dongfang family is a vengeful person. You've cheated him of 500 million, so it's best to be careful." Hearing this, Tianyang was a little surprised. He kept the auction items in his space bag and smiled. "Thank you." Then, Tianyang brought the two of them and left the place. The manager looked at the backs of the two people leaving and sighed faintly. He knew. No matter how careful Tianyang was, a big battle was unavoidable. Chapter 343. Walking on the main road of Night Dome City. Ling Yuhan looked at Tianyang curiously. "Master, are we leaving now?" Tianyang smiled and said, "Of course. If we stop here, the Dongfang family and the Nangong family won't dare to do anything. After all, this is Night Dome City. Although the four great families are powerful, the city governor's mansion isn't weak either. If we stay here for too long, I suspect that the Dongfang family and the Nangong family won't dare to do anything." Tianyang chuckled. Ling Yuhan didn't feel anything, but the flying sword couldn't help but shiver. As someone who grew up in Night Dome City, the flying sword was extremely respectful towards the four great families. Although he wouldn't cower in the face of such a situation, Dao Feiyang didn't even dare to think about someone like Tianyang, who couldn't wait for the four aristocratic families to find trouble with him. "Young master, if that's the case, won't the Dongfang family and the Nangong family send their elders?" "Elders?" Tianyang raised his eyebrows. "Unless it's the Great Elder or the Grand Elder, who are at the third heaven of the Dao Fire Realm, why would I be afraid of anyone else? Just look at the second elder of the Dongfang family. Although I killed Dongfang Qing and Nangong Shi, these shitty families still look down on me, a commoner. Since they look down on me, they wouldn't waste the effort to send someone at the third heaven of the Dao Fire Realm. It's most likely the second elder of the Dongfang family," Tianyang said indifferently. The flying sword couldn't help but say, "The second elder of the Dongfang family is also close to the third heaven of the Dao Fire Realm. He's only at the second heaven of the Dao Fire Realm, nothing to worry about." Tianyang didn't wait for the flying sword to finish and interrupted him. Then, he chuckled and said, "However, although it feels good to see that group of people looking down on me and sending a fool to his death. But when I think about how he looked down on me, I'm very unhappy. Since that's the case, I have no choice but to teach them a lesson." Tianyang's tone was calm, but Flying Sword could sense a cold, murderous intent in his words. His heart trembled slightly. Was his young master really just a 16-year-old boy? Why was it that when he faced him, he didn't feel any more relaxed than those old monsters who had lived for nearly 100 years? "Patriarch, are we not going to kill that Tianyang?" that Tianyang may have only humiliated the Dongfang family, but he was also humiliating the four great families. Within the Nangong family, Nangong Zhen looked at the Nangong family head, Nangong Zhan, in confusion. Hearing this, Nangong Zhan sneered, "The Dongfang family will definitely take action. Furthermore, it will definitely be the second elder of the Dongfang family. If the second elder takes action, Tianyang will definitely die. Why should we interfere? When the time comes, we can negotiate with the Dongfang family. We won't have to do anything, and we will be able to obtain the spoils of war from Tianyang. Why not?" Hearing this, Nangong Zhen came to a realization. Then, a look of pity appeared on his face. This Tianyang should have died at my hands. But this can be considered as revenge for Nangong Shi. Beigong family. Great Elder, are we really not going to help Tianyang? He's almost out of the city. Beigong Wu looked anxiously at the Great Elder of the Beigong family and asked anxiously. Hearing this, the Great Elder of the Beigong family sighed softly. Now, he's already out of the city. Even if we rush over now, we won't be able to do anything. Based on the second elder's character, he will definitely kill Tianyang in an extremely short period of time. If we go over now, we will only add to his hatred. Hearing this, Beigong Wu's face darkened. Then, he could only sigh helplessly. Tianyang, this dazzling new star who had suddenly risen in Night Dome City, was going to fall? Shiman family. This Tianyang has nothing to do with the Shiman family. Moreover, we can't even take care of ourselves. Why should we care? Yes. In an instant, the four big families and many other forces were arguing about Tianyang. In the end, they came to a unanimous conclusion. Tianyang was definitely going to die. We're out of the city, Tianyang said calmly. Then, he led the two out of the city gate. Then, the three of them sped up and arrived at the desolate outskirts of the city. At this point, Tianyang stopped. Since you've followed me to this desolate outskirts, come out. Tianyang smiled faintly. A bloody light flashed in his hand, and the killing sword, a low-grade spiritual weapon, appeared. Hearing this, the flying sword was shocked. Ling Yuhan, who was next to him, tensed up and summoned her weapon as well. The moment the cold sky sword appeared, it was as if the surrounding temperature had dropped significantly. Dao Feiyang also reacted immediately. The Dongfang family's pursuit had arrived. Not bad, not bad. At this moment, a white-haired old man suddenly walked out from the seemingly empty tree in front of him. He had a mocking expression on his face. This perception is really not bad. If I let you grow for a few years, I might not even be your opponent. It's a pity that you've provoked the Dongfang family. The white-haired elder, who was the second elder of the Dongfang family, sneered. In the next moment, the majestic aura of the second level of the Dao Fire Realm exploded and enveloped the entire area. The flames burning on the divine sun saber seemed to be suppressed by this aura and became much smaller. Dao Feiyang's face was also filled with a solemn expression. Behind him, the arrogant Dongfang Long also walked out. "Ha! Tianyang, you didn't expect this, did you? My Dongfang family has long found you an eyesore. Now, at the Heavenly River Grand Auction, you still dare to humiliate the Dongfang family. You're courting death." Dongfang Long's face was full of arrogance as he looked down at Tianyang. "If you hand over all your treasures now and kill yourself, we can still leave your corpse intact." The powerful aura of the first level of the Dao Fire Realm was released. However, Tianyang's expression did not change at all. Looking around, Tianyang smiled and said, "The scenery here is pretty good. It's just right to be used as a burial ground." Hearing this, the expressions of the second elder and Dongfang Long changed. Their arrogant faces darkened, and they were furious. "You're about to die, and you still dare to be arrogant," the second elder of the Dongfang family shouted angrily. Hearing this, Tianyang's smile did not change. "Last time, Dongfang Qing died here. Now, I'll send you to reunite with him. In the next moment, the powerful aura of the peak of the 7th level of the Origin Transformation realm exploded. On the killing sword, the Sky Cloud sword shone brightly. The Sky Dragon's dragon core was released, and endless dragon energy was added to it. Kill him! Hearing this, the veins on the second elder's forehead bulged as he roared, "Die, you brat!" Dongfang Long also rushed out and attacked Tianyang. However, he was intercepted by Ling Yuhan and the flying sword. Only the second elder of the Dongfang family and Tianyang were left to fight. "You want me to die? You're not qualified, you old man!" Tianyang roared, and the killing sword in his hand instantly expanded. Endless dragon energy swept across the entire area. Chapter 344. Yuhan Feiyang, you go and restrain Dongfang Long. I'll kill this old fart first. Tianyang sent a telepathic message. Then, he raised his long sword and charged towards the second elder of the Dongfang family. Body of the Heavenly Dragon Emperor Sword. Rolling dragon energy exploded. In an instant, a holy white light covered the entire killing sword and merged with the light of the Heavenly Dragon Emperor Sword. In the next moment, a monstrous dragon aura was released. Even the second-level Dao Fire Realm aura of the Dongfang family's second elder was suppressed. What? Seeing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family's expression changed. His aura was actually suppressed? This must be some treasure. This Tianyang probably relied on this to kill Nangong Shi. If it's in my hands, I'll definitely replace that big brother who's already beyond recognition. The second elder of the Dongfang family looked greedily at the dazzling Heavenly Dragon Emperor sword in Tianyang's hand. In the next moment, he channeled his inner energy and roared, "How can an insignificant ant possess such a treasure? Give it to me." Then, the second elder of the Dongfang family's withered finger bent like an eagle. In the next moment, a dark ray of light shot out. Earth Middle Class Martial Technique, Extreme Shadow Claw. Thunder God's Sword. Boom! The dark Extreme Shadow Claw and Thunder God's sword collided violently. Inner energy surged and waves of energy rippled out continuously. Even the space around them began to tremble. The power of lightning and shadow intertwined, corroding and attacking each other continuously. Seeing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family's expression changed slightly. A mere 7th-level Origin Transformation cultivator can actually block my attack? This treasure is truly extraordinary. The greed in his eyes deepened. In the next moment, the second elder channeled his inner energy and attacked again. Extreme Shadow Claw. Thunder God's sword, lightning pierces the heavens. Tianyang roared angrily. The terrifying power of lightning instantly exploded, transforming into bolts of lightning that broke through the first Extreme Shadow Claw and attacked the second Extreme Shadow Claw. The power of lightning was strong and powerful. It was the most suitable to deal with the shadow, which was a power of darkness. Boom! An even more deafening explosion resounded through the clouds. The Extreme Shadow Claw shattered once again. However, the lightning pierces the heavens did not dissipate. Instead, it charged towards the second elder at a terrifying speed. What? The expression of the second elder of the Dongfang family changed. How could an Origin Transformation cultivator break through his Extreme Shadow Claw? A ferocious glint flashed in his eyes. This kid must not be left alive. Petty tricks, break for me. The second elder of the Dongfang family roared angrily. The true essence of the second heaven of the Dao Fire Realm surged rapidly, transforming into a fierce fist that directly charged out. The power of thunder and the fist fiercely collided, erupting into countless energy sparks. Even space was torn apart. Seeing this, Tianyang's expression did not change. With the dragon's 9 heavens roaming steps, his body seemed to have disappeared into thin air. With the Heavenly Dragon Imperial sword in his hand, he instantly appeared beside the second elder of the Dongfang family. The heaven. Heavenly Sword Art, Tian Ling. The terrifying sword light pierced through the air and exploded forth. Just as the second elder of the Dongfang family sensed this terrifying murderous intent, Tian Ling's sword was already right in front of him. Damn it! How can this sword be so fast? The Dongfang family's second elder's expression changed greatly. He no longer cared about the fists that were entangled with Lei Guanxiong and used all his strength to resist this sword. Bang! Before he could clash with Tian Ling's sword, the fist that had lost the support of the Dongfang family's second elder's true qi was shattered by the lightning. One from the front, one from the left, another from the front, another from the front, another from the left. Damn it! The second elder roared. He gathered all his origin qi to resist the attacks from both sides. However, how could Tianyang let him have his way? Explode! Heavenly Sun roared as his true essence surged. In the next moment, the mighty piercing lightning transformed into a terrifying thunderstorm. Boom 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 boom. Bolts of lightning with extremely strong penetrative power bombarded the Dongfang family's second elder's defensive barrier. Not long after, they pierced through the barrier and shattered it into pieces. Tian Ling's sword took advantage of this and broke through the second elder's origin qi defense. Together with the thunderstorm, it ruthlessly struck the second elder's body. In an instant, the lightning flashed. Dongfang Long, Ling Yuhan, and the Flying Sword, who were in the midst of a fierce battle, were stunned. Amidst the flashes of lightning, an old man could be vaguely seen enduring the terrifying attacks. How could this be? Dongfang Long was stunned. He stared in disbelief at the second elder, who was being attacked by the lightning. It shouldn't be. After the second elder killed Tianyang, he helped me kill the bastard who stole my great sun divine saber and captured this beauty alive? How could a commoner dare to have such a beauty? In the end, his greatest support, the second elder of the Dongfang family, was being attacked by a commoner whom he looked down on? Dongfang Long's days lasted for less than a second. However, this second was perfectly captured by Tianyang's two good students. This is our chance! Ling Yuhan roared. At this moment, the Flying Sword also captured this moment of daze. The origin qi in his body surged. Ice Emperor's Heavenly Sword Technique, Third Form. Mysterious Heavenly Sword Technique, Great Earth Slash. Ling Yuhan and the Flying Sword roared at the same time. In the next moment, they unleashed their strongest attack and slashed Dongfang Long's body. Dongfang Long suffered a heavy blow. His face turned pale. Even with the origin qi protecting his body, this attack still dealt a huge blow to him. Dongfang Long spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. At this moment, the ice-cold sky sword's freezing technique took effect. Dongfang Long's limbs were frozen and he fell to the ground. Ling Yuhan and the Flying Sword exploded with their fastest speed and charged forward again. In an instant, the battle changed from a balanced state to a one-sided one. Long-er! Seeing this, the second elder of the Dongfang family roared in anger. The origin qi of the second heaven of the Dao Fire Realm exploded and shattered the surrounding lightning. In the next moment, he turned around and planned to rescue Dongfang Long. Dongfang Long was the strongest genius of the Dongfang family. Compared to Dongfang Zhua, who was pushed to the surface but was actually nothing, he was much stronger. If Dongfang Long died, even if he killed Tianyang, he would not be able to absolve himself from the blame. The lightest punishment would be dismissal. However, just as he was about to save Dongfang Long, Tianyang used the dragon's 9 heavens roaming steps and blocked the second elder's path like a ghost. The corners of Tianyang's mouth curled into a smile. Your opponent is me. Chapter 345. Your opponent is me. Tianyang chuckled. With the killing sword in hand, he brazenly blocked the path of the Dongfang family's second elder. Seeing this, the second elder was instantly enraged and growled, Tianyang, don't think that I can't kill you. What if that's what I think? Tianyang chuckled. Hearing this, the Dongfang family's second elder was completely enraged. The aura of a second heaven of the Tao fire realm completely erupted. Then I can only kill you. Earth-class upper-grade martial technique, extreme shadow destruction claw. The Dongfang family's second elder roared. In the next moment, he bent his fingers and clawed out. Endless true essence condensed into a deep, pitch-black claw. As if it was going to tear apart space, it crushed towards Tianyang. After advancing to the Tao fire realm, one would be able to touch the power of space. At the second heaven of the Tao fire realm, one would have a deeper understanding and control of the power of space. Now, this claw had almost sealed off all the space around Tianyang, causing Tianyang to be unable to move. Using space compression to seal off space? For a cultivator of the Tao fire realm, this is not a bad move. Tianyang felt the space compression around him and chuckled. Facing the extreme shadow destruction claw that was coming at him with a monstrous shadow force, his expression was still calm. It's a pity that I, your grandfather, have played this kind of little trick 10,000 years ago, Tianyang roared. In the next moment, a terrifying wave of true essence gushed out in all directions in an instant. The heavenly dragon's power completely exploded. Even the seal of space loosened a little. In the next moment, Tianyang's figure flashed and directly appeared in front of the Dongfang family's second elder. In the face of this kind of spatial seal, he directly broke it with force. You've broken the spatial seal and you're still not running? Seeing that not only did Tianyang not run, but he was also charging towards him, the Dongfang family's second elder sneered. Then, die for me. His true essence surged. In the next moment, the huge pitch-black claw attacked Tianyang. You dare to show off your slight skill in front of an expert? Break! Tianyang coldly shouted. His 7th-level origin transformation stage true essence circulated crazily, and in the next moment, he slashed out with his sword. Sky Extreme Sword Art, Second Sword, Heaven Shattering. The Annihilation spiritual fire burned fiercely, and the sword that contained the Supreme Annihilation sword intent collided with the Extreme Shadow Annihilation claw. Boom! The earth was overturned and the ground shook. The surrounding trees were all torn apart by the aftershocks, and even the space was torn apart by the terrifying aftershocks. The sky-shattering sword strike, which contained the shattering sword essence, also collided with the extreme shadow destruction claw in midair. He actually blocked it? The second elder of the Dongfang family revealed a look of astonishment before he coldly exclaimed, "However, anyone who dares to oppose the Dongfang family must die. Die!" Vigorous and boundless True Yuan transformed into shadowy energy and poured into the Earth Tier upper-level martial skill. In the next instant, the Dongfang family's second elder roared out once again. Peerless Earth Tier martial skill, shadowy body. The Dongfang family's second elder roared angrily, and in an instant, his body turned pitch black. Even his clothes became incomparably dark, and his entire aura became sinister and terrifying in an instant. It's actually an extremely rare transformation type martial skill. Tianyang's face darkened slightly, revealing a rare solemn expression. The sky-shattering sword strike exploded wildly, and the Annihilation spiritual fire was also used to its strongest limit to destroy the extreme shadow destruction claw. However, the Dongfang family's second elder, who had turned into a shadowy body, was obviously not weaker than before. Previously, it seemed easy to deal with the Dongfang family's second elder, but in reality, Tianyang had calculated every step to the most precise state. Even if one of the moves was wrong, or if the attack was too early or too late, the Dongfang family's second elder would find the opportunity to kill him directly. No one who could become a cultivator of the Tao Fire Realm was a fool. However, compared to Tianyang, they were all fools. Those who could become great emperors of their generation were much stronger than this so-called Dongfang family's second elder in terms of character, courage, insight, knowledge, and scheming. Ha ha ha. You're at your wits' end. The Dongfang family's second elder couldn't help but laugh maniacally when he saw that Tianyang had used up all the power in the previous strike to destroy his extreme shadow destruction claw. Previously, Tianyang was practically suppressing him in the fight. He clearly had the power to easily kill Tianyang, but he couldn't use it at all. That feeling of powerlessness was extremely uncomfortable. However, looking at Tianyang, who was already suppressed by him, the Dongfang family's second elder only felt that the discomfort from before wasn't that great anymore. Next, the pleasure of killing this little trash would definitely suppress the discomfort from before. Ha ha ha. You're at your wits' end, aren't you? Not only can my shadowy body increase my combat strength, it can also directly weaken your attacks. No matter what attack you use, you won't be able to hurt me at all. The Dongfang family's second elder laughed maniacally. Although he was arrogant, he didn't expose the weakness of his shadowy body. However, in the face of the Dongfang family's second elder, who had already transformed into a shadowy body and whose strength had skyrocketed, Tianyang could only sigh. I reckon that this guy's combat strength isn't any weaker than a cultivator at the Dao Fire Realm's third level. As expected, I still have to use that move. Tianyang sighed softly. Then, the killing sword in his hand emitted an endless radiance. The energy of the mountains, rivers, flowers, trees, and even stones were all being absorbed by Tianyang. Sand would form a tower. These energies may not be strong individually, but when added together, the total amount was enough to make one tremble in fear. Martial soul talent, devouring heaven. Why is my shadowy power disappearing? The Dongfang family's second elder's expression changed. He didn't care about the reason and shouted angrily, "Martial soul, shadowy!" At this moment, Tianyang's aura had already begun to soar. 8th level of the Origin Transformation Realm. 8th level of the Origin Transformation Realm. 9th level of the Origin Transformation Realm. Half step to the Dao Fire Realm. Half step to the Dao Fire Realm. Quasi-step to the Dao Fire Realm. Tianyang's aura skyrocketed by countless levels. The energy waves emitted from his body also became more and more terrifying. The Dongfang family's second elder's expression changed drastically. He looked at Tianyang in disbelief and said in shock, "You? How can you be so strong all of a sudden?" Previously, when Tianyang was at the 7th level of the Origin Transformation Realm, he could already suppress him. Now that Tianyang had risen to the quasi-step to the Dao Fire Realm, wouldn't he be able to easily kill him? His heart trembled. However, Tianyang, who had finished digesting the enormous energy brought by the Devouring Heaven's secret skill, also raised his head and smiled gently. At this moment, his cultivation was at the quasi-step to the Dao Fire Realm. However, in terms of combat strength, compared to the 3rd level of the Dao Fire Realm, he was superior. He slowly raised the killing sword in his hand. The brilliant light of the heavenly sword shone between heaven and earth. "No. You can't kill me." The Dongfang family's second elder was completely flustered. He hurriedly shouted, "If you kill me, you'll definitely suffer the Dongfang family's thunderous revenge. When that time comes, even Sky Blue College won't be able to protect you. The consequences of killing Dongfang Qing, Nangong Shi, or even Dongfang Long will be even greater. You have to think carefully." The Dongfang family's second elder kept shouting. However, Tianyang only smiled at this. "Why would I, Tianyang, need to explain my actions to you? Sky Step Sword Technique, 3rd Sword, Star Burial." The sword slashed down. The sword light, which was as bright as the galaxy, instantly split the Dongfang family's second elder into two from top to bottom. "No!" With this scream, the Dongfang family's second elder fell. Chapter 346. 1/. The second elder of the Dongfang family, a cultivator of the second heaven of the Dao Fire Realm, died just like that under Tianyang's sword. What? Dongfang Long's body trembled, his face full of disbelief. The second elder is dead? The second elder of the Dongfang family. That was a powerful existence that Dongfang Long could only look up to. In the end, he died at the hands of the trash that he had always despised, Tianyang? Impossible! Dongfang Long's first reaction was disbelief. However, when he saw Tianyang expressionlessly take away the space bag of the second elder of the Dongfang family, he immediately came to a realization. His greatest support, the second elder of the Dongfang family, was dead. He was completely and utterly dead. Even the second elder of the Dongfang family, who was at the second level of the Dao Fire Realm, had died at Tianyang's hands. In that case, he, who was at the first level of the Dao Fire Realm, would definitely die if he faced Tianyang. No. I'm the strongest genius of the Dongfang family. I can't die here. Dongfang Long roared angrily. His first heaven of the Dao Fire Realm's inner yuan burst forth in an attempt to break through Ling Yuhan and the Flying Sword's blockade. However, when they saw that Dongfang Long was struggling to escape, Ling Yuhan and the Flying Sword immediately understood that the second elder of the Dongfang family was dead. We can't let him escape. The Flying Sword's eyes narrowed as he growled, "Divine Sun Blade." In the next moment, the blazing flames on the Divine Sun Blade expanded to its limit. Then, it ruthlessly slashed towards Dongfang Long. "Damned ant! How dare you stop me!" Dongfang Long roared angrily. His first heaven of the Dao Fire Realm's inner yuan burst forth wildly in an attempt to break through the Divine Sun Blade. However, the power of the Divine Sun Blade was much stronger than he had imagined. His attack did not break through this layer of obstruction. Instead, he was pushed back by it. Oh no! Seeing that his only chance to break through had disappeared, Dongfang Long panicked. He then looked at Ling Yuhan, who was panting heavily with the cold sky sword in her hand, and a vicious glint flashed across his eyes. This person had come together with Tianyang. If he captured her, Tianyang would definitely not dare to kill him again for fear of breaking the vases. "Bastard! Get over here!" Dongfang Long roared, and a majestic suction force erupted from his palm. Ling Yuhan's body trembled, and she immediately felt the terrifying suction force. Ling Yuhan's cultivation was only at the peak of the fourth level of the origin transformation stage. Although her combat strength was strong, it didn't mean that her ability to resist the suction force was strong. Damn it! The Flying Sword roared in anger as he slashed out with the divine blade of the Great Sun in his hand. At this moment, a terrifying killing intent suddenly enveloped the entire area. Turning his head, he saw that Tianyang's smiling face had unknowingly turned cold. The murderous intent in his eyes seemed to come from the depths of hell. He wanted to freeze someone to death. "You dare to touch my disciple?" Tianyang's tone was cold as he looked at Dongfang Long, who was trying to kidnap Ling Yuhan. The killing sword in his hand trembled slightly. Thousands of murderous intents were released. For a moment, Dongfang Long felt as if he had fallen into the realm of death. Everywhere, there was a terrifying murderous intent that made his mind explode. Since you have the intention to kill, then don't think about living. The terrifying aura of a quasi-Dao fire realm coupled with the monstrous murderous intent caused even the grass beneath his feet to tremble. The leaves were also affected by the murderous intent, and frost condensed on them. The killing sword was raised, and a bloodthirsty light burst out. In the next moment the sword slashed out. "Ah!" Dongfang Long screamed in pain as he violently released his true yuan. However, it was useless in front of Tianyang's sword. The terrifying sword intent instantly tore all of Dongfang Long's defenses into pieces. Then, the unparalleled sword light tore Dongfang Long apart, turning him into a bloody mist. The genius of the Dongfang family, Dongfang Long, was dead. Only after killing Dongfang Long did Tianyang retract his martial soul talent. The majestic aura also decreased rapidly. Soon after, he arrived in front of Ling Yuhan. His ice-cold face also turned gentle. "You're not scared, are you?" Tianyang smiled. Ling Yuhan nodded when she heard this. She stared blankly at Tianyang's face as her heart pounded. She felt as if there was a deer running around in her heart. "No, no," Ling Yuhan said in a low voice. Then, her face suddenly flushed red. She lowered her head and hurriedly changed the topic. "That's right, these two people have a certain status in the Dongfang family. They must have many treasures on them. Let's keep their space bags first. The four big families and other forces probably already know the location of this place. It's not good to stay here any longer," Ling Yuhan said. Although she was in a hot-headed state, she was not stupid. She immediately calmed down and analyzed the situation. It wasn't as if she didn't know how to fight. "That's true." Tianyang nodded slightly and stretched out his hand. A suction force burst out and took Dongfang Long's space bag. Then, he left with the two people. The two of them must have a lot of treasures on them. This would be a great help for the upcoming Inner Yard Grand competition. The three of them flew away quickly. Only when they were far away did the people from the four big families arrive. "The remnant aura here. A terrifying battle must have happened," that person said in a low voice with a grave expression. Then, he turned around and saw the two corpses that were only left with a pool of blood. His pupils shrank. Then, that person hurried over to check and came to a conclusion that was enough to shake the entire Night Dome city. The second elder of the Dongfang family and the strongest genius of the Dongfang family, Dongfang Long, they're both dead. After that person returned, the news of the deaths of the two people who had an extremely high status in the Dongfang family swept through the entire Night Dome city like a storm. Everyone remembered a name: Tianyang. At the same time, Tianyang and the other two people had returned to Sky Blue College. Sky Blue College did not forbid students from going out. However, compared to the outside world where the law of the jungle prevailed, most students preferred to stay in the college where there were fewer fights and resources for cultivation. Not bad, not bad. The treasures on these two guys are indeed extraordinary," Tianyang exclaimed in admiration as he broke the remaining soul imprints on the two space bags effortlessly and took out all the items inside. Apart from the remaining 200 million low-grade spirit stones, Tianyang did not really care about these items. However, the other items were much more meaningful than the low-grade spirit stones. There were all kinds of recovery pills, healing pills, and explosive pills. The lowest grade was second grade and the highest grade was fourth grade. There were also all kinds of treasured weapons and quasi-spiritual weapons. The second elder of the Dongfang family did not use any weapons, but there was a quasi-spiritual spear in the space bag. Although Tianyang had no use for it, it would be a valuable treasure if auctioned off. Of course, the most important thing was far from these. Instead, it was in the space bag of the second elder of the Dongfang family that Tianyang had tricked into spending 2.5 billion low-grade spirit stones to buy it. Chapter 347. The Spiritual Sea Dragon Pearl. It contained an enormous amount of dragon power essence. It was much more powerful than the dragon pearl that Tianyang had given to Ao Ling, who had saved his life. After all, Ao Ling was only at the peak of the transformed origin realm. His combat power might not even be comparable to an ordinary Dao Fire Realm cultivator. Moreover, the spiritual sea dragon pearl was formed after a dragon died of old age. The spiritual sea realm's cultivation was all gathered in it. Ao Ling's dragon pearl was just an ordinary dragon pearl. In addition to the difference in cultivation level, it could be said that 10,000 Ao Ling's dragon pearls were not comparable to the spiritual sea dragon pearl. Not bad. There is almost no loss of the dragon power essence in it. It is indeed a powerful item that is worth at least 2 billion lower spiritual stones. Tianyang looked at it carefully for a while and then praised. Ling Yuhan was delighted when she heard that. She knew that Tianyang was cultivating a dragon body refining martial technique. However, this body-refining martial technique was extremely difficult to cultivate. It required a large amount of cultivation resources. Now, with the help of the spiritual sea dragon pearl, it could be said that it filled the gap. If Tianyang had to gather the resources himself, he might not be able to cultivate the real dragon body even after the inner yard tournament. Although I still need some other things to cultivate the real dragon body, this is not bad. Tianyang muttered to himself. Then, he stood up and smiled at the two of them. Yuhan, although your sword principle cultivation is profound, you still lack some martial techniques that can unleash your sword principle cultivation. These are some martial techniques that I have prepared. You can cultivate them first. There is also this upper earth class movement technique, traceless water step. Flying sword, you are not lacking in saber techniques. However, you still lack a killing move that you can use frequently. I have specially found a peerless earth class saber technique to complement your Great Sun Divine saber. It is called Great Sun Divine /. It is perfect for your Great Sun Divine saber. Tianyang smiled and prepared the items for the two of them. Then, he went to cultivate in seclusion. As for Dao Feiyang and Ling Yuhan, they kept the items and entered the cultivation room. They began to cultivate with all their might. The inner court grand competition would be held in a month's time. In the cultivation room, Tianyang muttered to himself as he looked at the motionless spirit sea dragon pearl floating in midair. This spiritual sea dragon pearl isn't an ordinary item. It has its own spirit. Refining it by force will only result in half the result. If I can gain the recognition of the treasure, refining it will be much easier. At this thought, Tianyang reached out his hand without hesitation and touched the spirit sea dragon orb. The heavenly dragon's dragon elixir flickered slightly as a trace of dragon power was injected into the spirit sea dragon pearl. At the same time, Tianyang also opened up his mind to communicate with the spirit sea dragon pearl. The spirit sea dragon pearl trembled slightly. Then, the majestic dragon power within exploded. The entire cultivation room was shrouded in the bright light of the spirit sea dragon pearl. Tianyang's body trembled slightly, and his mind entered a strange space. Where is this? Tianyang's heart skipped a beat as he looked at his surroundings. All he saw was a sea of blue. The sky, the ground, everything was a clean blue. Tianyang was in this endless blue space. However, in this endless blue space, Tianyang also felt an unparalleled amount of dragon power. Tianyang's heavenly dragon's dragon elixir was nothing compared to this enormous amount of dragon power. This place is within my dragon pearl. At this moment, a majestic voice rang out from all directions. In the next moment, in front of Tianyang, rays of golden light flickered. The golden light was dazzling as it intertwined and condensed. Finally, it turned into a gigantic dragon body. A terrifying pressure that seemed to look down on the world was released from the huge dragon's eyes and pressed heavily on Tianyang's body. If the person who obtains my dragon pearl wants to gain my recognition, he or she must endure this aura. Although I'm dead, my dragon pearl is not something that ordinary people can obtain. The golden dragon said arrogantly. Along with the rolling aura, the pride and strength of the dragon clan was fully displayed in this sentence. The immense pressure was like a tidal wave crashing towards the heavenly sun. However, to the golden dragon's surprise, the heavenly sun clan's heavenly sun clan in front of this terrifying aura that was enough to crush the soul of a first heaven of the Tao fire realm to death, Tianyang still maintained his smile. It was as if this aura was useless against him. Interesting, the golden dragon said softly. Then, the dragon body trembled and released an even stronger aura. This time, even a second heaven of the Tao fire realm cultivator's soul would be shattered by the aura. However, in front of Tianyang, this aura was still useless. In fact, the smile on Tianyang's face became even wider. You're only at the 7th level of the origin transformation realm, but you can actually withstand this level of aura? Interesting, this is too interesting. The golden dragon was surprised. Then, he chuckled. Then, can you withstand the strongest aura that I can release now? In the next moment, an extremely terrifying aura exploded. If the previous aura was a tidal wave, in that case, the pressure this time was a terrifying wave that was enough to devour everything. It's useless. Even if you resurrect and use your peak first heaven sea of soul realm aura to suppress me, it's useless, Tianyang said indifferently. In the next moment, he pointed a finger at the aura that was about to press down on him. An inconspicuous light shot out from Tianyang's finger. In the next moment, it collided with the aura that was like a huge wave. Boom! A terrifying sound that was like the collapse of mountains and seas exploded in this space. In the next moment, the spiritual light that erupted from Tianyang's finger did not change, but the terrifying aura shattered. A seventh level of the Origin Transformation Realm Cultivator had shattered the soul aura that was enough to kill a third heaven of the Tao Fire Realm. What? Seeing this scene, the golden dragon's body trembled. He looked at the spiritual light in disbelief. In this spiritual light, the golden dragon saw not only the power that was enough to shatter his aura. Also, it was a terrifying ability that could completely erase his soul imprint. Stop, 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 stop. Kid, no sir, please stop. Sir, I beg you, please stop. The golden dragon panicked and hurriedly begged for mercy. Hearing this, Tianyang chuckled. What, aren't you quite arrogant? Hearing this, the golden dragon knew that his attitude had caused this terrifying almighty to be dissatisfied. He hurriedly said, I was wrong. Sir, I was wrong. I really didn't know that you had such a terrifying ability. Great God, please retract your ability. The golden dragon was about to cry. Wasn't he just showing off and carrying out the fine tradition of his dragon clan since ancient times? All this while, he had always been successful in everything he did. Why did he meet such a monster this time? Hearing this, Tianyang chuckled and snapped his fingers. The terrifying spiritual light dissipated. I told you earlier. Remember, in the future, in front of me, Tianyang, dragons have to lie down and tigers have to kneel. Chapter 348. No one would have thought that a proud Sea of Soul Realm dragon would submit to a peak 7th level Origin Transformation Realm Cultivator. Indeed, the dragon clan was proud and powerful. As a Sea of Soul Realm dragon, the giant golden dragon not only had these characteristics, but they were even more powerful. However, pride was only in front of those of the same realm. If you were still proud in front of those of the same realm, then you wouldn't be proud. In that case, this wasn't arrogance, it was courting death. In the giant golden dragon's heart, Tianyang was a powerful cultivator who far surpassed it. A powerful cultivator who crushed it in terms of the soul. In fact, Tianyang could say that he was invincible in terms of the soul. After all, peak ascension realm cultivators were extremely rare. Even in the 10,000 years when martial arts flourished, there were less than 5 people who had reached that level. As for peak ascension realm cultivators in terms of the soul, Tianyang was the only one. In addition, Tianyang's extremely exquisite swordsmanship, which even showed signs of breaking through the limits, made him the strongest cultivator in the mainland. Not bad, at least you know what's good for you. Tianyang looked at the giant golden dragon, who had lowered its head to express its submission, and chuckled. He then said, Now, I don't need your approval to refine this dragon pearl. Hearing this, the giant golden dragon trembled. Approval? What a joke. It was almost killed by Tianyang. Why would it need its approval? If Tianyang wanted to refine it, he could have just killed it. That would have been easier. No need, no need. The giant golden dragon hurriedly said. It wanted to slap itself a few times. If it wasn't for the fact that it acted tough without looking at who was in front of it, would it have to do this? However, Tianyang didn't intend to pursue the matter. Instead, he chuckled. If I just want to refine it perfectly, I'll just kill you and erase your soul imprint. It's more efficient than entering the spiritual sea dragon pearl. Hearing this, the giant golden dragon's body trembled again. Brother, you really do have such thoughts. However, this spiritual sea dragon pearl is the condensation of your lifetime's cultivation. If I kill you just to refine it, I, Tianyang, am not that ungrateful. Tianyang said lightly. Hearing this, the giant golden dragon trembled. Its huge dragon eyes revealed a trace of gratitude. The martial arts world was cruel and strict. The strong lived, the weak died. In such an environment, Heavenly Son was still able to maintain his bottom line and not destroy his remnant soul. This made him extremely touched. If it were him, if he had obtained such a Dragon Ball with the power to easily obliterate the consciousness inside, he would have probably obliterated it without a second thought. However, Tianyang didn't. How about this? If you have any requests, I will try my best to fulfill them. Heavenly Sun Path. Hearing this, the golden dragon was stunned for a moment before it was overjoyed. Sir, is it really possible? Tianyang said indifferently. A sharp light flashed in his eyes. He looked at the giant golden dragon as if he wanted to see through it. Hearing this, the golden dragon trembled all over, and a deep hatred and anger flashed in its eyes. It then growled, "Don't worry." It roared, "Sir, do you know how I died?" Tianyang raised his eyebrows. With your strength and soul strength, you shouldn't have died of old age. How did you die? Once one reached the spiritual sea realm, their lifespan would be greatly extended. For a race like the Dragon Clan that had a long lifespan, it was even more so. This giant golden dragon had been dead for God knows how long, but it still had the strength to show off in front of Tianyang in the spiritual sea dragon pearl. Obviously, its soul strength wasn't weak. With such soul strength, it couldn't have died of old age. Therefore, Tianyang's interest was piqued. My name is Long Haotian. I'm an extremely famous genius in the giant golden dragon clan. Back then, I was at the peak of the first level of spiritual sea realm. I was the peak existence in the younger generation of the giant golden dragon clan. However, I was still not satisfied. I had the ambition to break through to the second level of spiritual sea realm. The giant golden dragon's voice was low, but the hatred and anger in his tone were still burning. Back then, I also had the foundation to break through to the second level of spiritual sea realm. Hearing this, Tianyang nodded slightly. To the Dragon Clan, the younger generation wasn't just limited to humans who were only 20 or 30 years old. To the Dragon Clan, even 100 years old could be considered as the younger generation. This giant golden dragon was also extremely talented. It wasn't strange for him to break through to the first level of spiritual sea realm before he was 100 years old. Back then, I was fully prepared. I even had the protection of the clan's experts. It could be said that I was foolproof. But, at this point, an extremely sharp light of hatred shot out from the golden dragon's eyes, and the massive body formed by the power of the soul started to fluctuate unsteadily. My partner was also a giant golden dragon. But at the crucial moment of my breakthrough, she sneak attacked me. The giant golden dragon roared at the sky. Rolling soul strength completely erupted. The entire internal space of the spiritual sea dragon pearl was shaking. I was instantly seriously injured. However, that B*TCH Long Xinyan wasn't enough to kill me. However, that B*TCH already had help. The strongest genius of the Black Dragon Clan, He Ming. It was him who colluded with Long Xinyan to sneak attack the clan members who were protecting me. When I was breaking through, he ordered Long Xinyan to sneak attack me. At this point, the giant golden dragon couldn't contain his anger anymore. He started to roar crazily. A shape-shifting elixir. It was because of a shape-shifting elixir. My partner, who I had accompanied day and night with all my heart, sided with the enemy and wanted to kill me. He Ming's strength was slightly weaker than mine. However, I was seriously injured at that time, and my battle strength was less than 10%. Naturally, I couldn't withstand He Ming's attack. In the end, I used a secret escape technique and escaped to the firmament territory. However, my soul strength was also exhausted. I was like a lamp that had run out of oil. I had no choice but to fall into a deep sleep until you woke me up today. The giant golden dragon's voice gradually lowered. At this moment, Tianyang realized that the giant golden dragon's body was almost translucent. I, Long Haotian, have lived a carefree life. I didn't expect to die at the hands of AB*TCH. My lord, I know that I can't live anymore. I only have one request. Say it, Tianyang said in a low voice. His heart was filled with boundless anger. Betrayal was the most infuriating thing. At this moment, the killing intent in his heart was spreading wildly. He couldn't wait to rush out of Sky Blue College and kill the Black Dragon clan. I only have one request. My lord, you can kill Long Xinyan and He Ming, Long Haotian said in a low voice. Hearing this, Tianyang didn't hesitate. Even if you don't ask, I will do it. Hearing this, Long Haotian looked at Tianyang with a smile on his face. My lord, you are the best human I have ever seen in my life. However, I can see that your soul strength is extremely terrifying. However, your cultivation and physical strength are not strong. I, Long Haotian, will use this broken soul to give you a gift. The golden colossal dragon laughed heartily. The next moment, clusters of golden soul fire suddenly ignited on his translucent soul. Dragon body power, dragon soul fire, billions of dragon power, send you on your way. In the next moment, an extremely bright light filled the entire interior of the spiritual sea dragon pearl. Chapter 349. The terrifying dragon power rushed into Tianyang's body, but Tianyang's body did not move at all. Power of the dragon body, flame of the dragon soul. Long Haotian's solemn voice seemed to reverberate between heaven and earth. However, his body gradually disappeared in the golden dragon flame that was getting brighter and brighter. Tianyang stood where he was and looked at the smiling Long Haotian in front of him. His heart trembled slightly. Then, Tianyang raised his head and looked at Long Haotian. Don't worry, I will definitely take revenge for you. I, in the name of the Tianji Sword Emperor, swear that I will kill Long Xinyan and He Ming dragons in this lifetime. Tianyang shouted angrily. Hearing this, Long Haotian's eyes flashed with shock at first, then he relaxed. Thank you, Lord Sword Emperor, for granting my wish. This is my last gift, please keep it well. Long Haotian laughed. In the next moment, the flame of the dragon soul burned to the maximum, and Long Haotian's body completely disappeared from the spirit sea dragon pearl. Long Haotian, the prodigy of the Golden Dragon clan, died just like that. Before Tianyang had time to feel sad, he suddenly realized that after Long Haotian died, not only did the flame of the dragon soul not dissipate, but it also rushed toward him. It carried the enormous dragon power in the spirit sea dragon pearl and Long Haotian's purest dragon soul essence into Tianyang's body. This was the creation that Long Haotian said before he died that he would give Tianyang. With this enormous dragon power, even if the conditions were not right, Tianyang could break through to the half-true dragon body. Moreover, there was an enormous amount of dragon power at his disposal. This dragon soul essence was even more significant. Tianyang's soul power was already extremely powerful. Now that he had absorbed the dragon soul essence, he could even reach a higher level. Don't worry, if I don't take revenge, I will be destroyed, Tianyang said softly, then sat down with his legs crossed and began to refine the enormous dragon power and dragon soul essence. This refinement process took a month. 1 month later, Tianyang woke up from the cultivation room. The spirit sea dragon pearl that was floating in front of him had disappeared. However, in his dantian, there was a huge amount of dragon power that was slowly circulating. Long Haotian was, after all, a peak first-level sea of Soul Realm warrior of the Golden Dragon clan. The dragon power in his body was enormous to an extremely frightening extent. Even if Tianyang had tried his best to activate the divine desolate heavenly spirit art to refine it, he could not refine much. Compared to the spirit sea dragon pearl itself, it was not worth mentioning. Of course, this was also because Tianyang's cultivation was not very strong. On the sky dragon's dragon core, a dazzling dragon pattern slowly released light. These dragon patterns represented the true dragon. Condensing the dragon core, one would become a heavenly dragon. Condensing the dragon mark, one would become a true dragon. However, in order to advance to the true dragon physique, he still needed a treasure called the true dragon leaf. Otherwise, the true dragon mark would not be able to unleash its full potential. However, the current Tianyang could be said to have a half-true dragon body. One punch was enough to kill a half-step Dao Fire Realm warrior. This good fortune that Long Haotian gave me can be said to be great, Tianyang groaned and stood up. He patted off the dust on his body and clenched his fist. Since I've accepted your kindness, I will definitely fulfill your last wish, Tianyang said firmly. The majestic aura of a peak 8th level origin transformation realm warrior was released. His black robe fluttered in the wind. In addition, there was a trace of the golden dragon's aura in his true yuan. At this moment, Tianyang was like the incarnation of a true dragon. It was hard to look at him directly. Peak 8th level origin transformation realm warrior's physical strength is comparable to an ordinary 2nd level Dao Fire Realm warrior. He is not inferior to the Dongfang family's 2nd elder. A half-true dragon physique is indeed extraordinary. However, the most extraordinary thing is still the dragon power and dragon soul. Before Long Haotian died, he poured all the dragon power in the spiritual sea dragon pearl into Tianyang's body. That enormous amount of dragon power was not something an ordinary person could withstand. However, Tianyang was an existence who had opened up 9,000 feet of ultimate chi seas. It was easy for him to contain the dragon power. However, the most important thing was still the dragon soul. With Long Haotian's dragon soul, the dragon power in Tianyang's Dantian was no longer an energy storage like the Scarlet Dragon Pearl. It was a killing move that could explode with absolute power at a critical moment. Yes, Tianyang could control the majestic dragon power as if it was his own arm. There is also some information about the Dragon Clan and a part of their inherited memories. This gift is not small at all. Tianyang sighed. It was just a spiritual sea dragon pearl that he had snatched, but it had given him such a powerful force. The current Tianyang's combat strength was several times stronger than before. However, although his combat strength had skyrocketed, Tianyang had also accepted a heavy last wish. If he accepted Long Haotian's gift and did not kill He Ming and Long Xinyan, Tianyang's Dao heart would inevitably develop a heart demon. At that time, his cultivation would not advance, but instead regress. 5 years ago, when Long Haotian was attacked, He Ming was at the 1st level of the spiritual sea realm, and Long Xinyan was at the half-step spiritual sea realm. 5 years have passed. Their strength will definitely be much stronger. If we go now, we will only be throwing away our lives, Tianyang said softly, then pushed open the door to the cultivation room. The most important thing now is to participate in the inner court competition and enter the inner court. Only then can we improve faster. With a creak, the heavy black iron door opened. Outside, Ling Yuhan and Flying Sword had been waiting for a long time. Looking at Tianyang, whose aura had skyrocketed and carried a faint trace of dragon might, Ling Yuhan smiled and said, "Master, you've improved a lot." Tianyang faintly nodded, then glanced at the two. Ling Yuhan was already at the peak of the 5th level of the Origin Transformation stage, and was not far from the 6th level of the Origin Transformation stage. Flying Sword had even reached the peak of the 9th level of the Origin Transformation stage, and was only a step away from the half-step Dao Fire Realm. After a month of closed-door cultivation, the three of them had improved a lot. Sky Blue College's outer court, within a mountain forest. A spirited and handsome youth slowly walked out, and the corners of his mouth curled into a trace of a confident smile. This time, I, Li Fengyun, will surely be one of the 10 sovereigns. In the void lightning hall, a half-naked man had an arrogant expression. Lightning gathered around him, and the aura of the half-step Dao fire realm burst out. I, Zhao Xingting, will surely take first place in the inner court competition. Tianyang, you dared to kill my cousin. I'll surely kill you. In a quiet courtyard, a beautiful young girl slowly walked out, and an aura that was infinitely close to the quasi-Dao fire realm slowly spread out from her body. But this young girl's face had a complicated expression. It's been a month, Tianyang. I still haven't apologized to you. This person was the outer court goddess that was drugged by Zhao Shanhe, rescued by Tianyang, and then misunderstood Tianyang, Jiang Nanyu. However, Jiang Nanyu's cultivation was completely different from a month ago. A month ago, she was only at the 9th level of the origin transformation stage, but a month later, she had skyrocketed to infinitely close to the quasi-Dao fire realm. The quasi-Dao fire realm only needed to overcome the first level of the Dao fire realm to be able to step into the first level of the Dao fire realm. At this moment, countless youths walked out from various places. Their cultivations were either strong or weak, but all of them were rushing towards the same place. The teleportation array at the center of the outer court. Countless people had arrived here. There was only one purpose. Chapter 350. When Tianyang and the other two arrived, there was already a large crowd gathered at the plaza in the center of the outer court. As far as the eye could see, other than the enormous teleportation formation in the center, there was no one else. Everyone else was human. Even if Tianyang didn't use his soul energy, he could still see close to 10,000 people with just his eyes. Sky Blue College's outer court isn't like the inner court. The threshold to enter the outer court isn't high, and as long as you contribute to the college, you can continue to stay here. New students don't have to contribute to the college for 3 years, but after 3 years you have to. Most of the people here have been in Sky Blue College's outer court for more than 3 years, so everyone's cultivation isn't weak. Young master, you entered the inner court tournament less than half a year ago. This is the first time in the history of Sky Blue College, Dao Feiyang said. Hearing this, Tianyang nodded slightly. He released his soul power and roughly scanned the surrounding people. At this moment there were already more than 13,000 people, and it was still increasing rapidly. What surprised Tianyang was that, among these people, the lowest cultivation was at the peak of the 5th level of the origin transformation stage, and the highest cultivation was at the peak of the half-step Dao fire stage. There were also some mysterious people who hid their auras so well that Tianyang couldn't discover them immediately after a rough large-scale scan. This outer court is really full of hidden talents, Tianyang sighed. The inner court tournament that was held once every 5 years was really the place where the elites of the outer court gathered. Those who were usually on the outer court genius ranking could only be considered above average, except for a few who were ranked at the top. Soon, the truly powerful people of Sky Blue College's outer court had all gathered. There were a total of 25,000 people, and they all surrounded the teleportation formation. As for those who weren't powerful, they all watched from the outside and didn't dare to take a step closer. At this moment, the elder in charge of maintaining order nodded slightly at the old man in the lead. Seeing this, the old man also rose into the air. The old man looked to be at least 60 or 70 years old, but his skin was still full and rosy. He didn't look like an old man at all. He wore a loose white robe, and on his chest was the outer court insignia that shone with silver light under the sun. I'm the outer court dean of Sky Blue College. The old man stood in the air and glanced at the people around the teleportation formation as he spoke. Hearing this, waves of ripples instantly erupted from the crowd. They didn't expect that the elusive dean of the outer court would actually appear here. My name is Zhao Lingfeng, and I'm a cultivator at the peak of the third firmament of the Dao Fire Realm, Zhao Lingfeng said indifferently. In the next moment, the powerful aura of the third heaven of the Dao Fire Realm exploded, suppressing the entire place. And kneeled, and... Tianyang looked at Zhao Lingfeng and his expression changed slightly. He asked Dao Feiyang, who was beside him, "What's the relationship between Zhao Lingfeng and Zhao Shanhe?" Flying Sword was startled. He didn't expect Tianyang to be able to speak so easily in the face of such pressure. However, he still answered truthfully. Apart from the same surname, they are not related. However, the sinister old man to the left of the dean is Zhao Shanhe's relative. Young master killed Zhao Shanhe. That elder will definitely not let this matter rest. Flying Sword's face was grave. At this moment, Elder Zhao seemed to have noticed Flying Sword's gaze and turned to look at him. An extremely sinister and terrifying aura surged toward them. Flying Sword's face suddenly changed. He frantically operated the mysterious Heaven Saber Sutra to resist it. Tianyang frowned slightly. He reached out his hand and directly shattered the violent aura. Elder, no matter what, you are still a cultivator at the peak of the second heaven of the Dao Fire Realm. Isn't it inappropriate to oppress a junior? Tianyang's tone was cold as he looked at Elder Zhao and transmitted his voice. Elder Zhao was startled when he heard this. He glanced at the person who transmitted the voice and immediately flew into a rage. He recognized Tianyang. "Kid, you dared to kill my nephew. You will die miserably in this inner yard tournament." Elder Zhao snorted coldly. His voice was mixed with a sharp gust of wind as it shot toward Tianyang. Seeing this, Tianyang frowned slightly. With a cold snort, he easily shattered the gust of wind. "I'd like to see how you're going to kill me," Tianyang sneered. Elder Zhao's face darkened when he heard this. However, he didn't say a word. At this moment, Zhao Lingfeng also began to read the rules. The rules of this inner yard tournament are the same as before. There is only one rule, that is, plunder, Zhao Lingfeng said loudly. Some of the outer yard disciples were confused when they heard this. However, some of their expressions changed drastically. As senior students, they were very clear about this rule. It was a simple word, plunder, but behind it there was an endless amount of killing. The inner yard tournament is held in a mystic realm. This mystic realm is called the trial ground. There are countless treasures in the trial ground. However, there are also countless dangers of life and death. Everyone will be scattered after entering the trial grounds. Wait a moment. When we enter the trial grounds, everyone will receive a token. This token represents 1 point. Only the 110 people who obtain the most tokens during the inner yard tournament can enter the inner yard and become an inner yard student. Zhao Lingfeng roared, his voice billowing out. Hearing this, everyone's hearts trembled. There were more than 20,000 people participating in the inner yard tournament. However, only 110 of them could enter the inner yard. This ratio was terrifying. However, this also confirmed the saying that the inner yard was filled with elites. The inner yard tournament will be held for a total of 3 months. During these 3 months, no matter if you plunder, or even kill, there are no restrictions. Zhao Lingfeng roared. His eyes were as sharp as a knife. A wild killing intent instantly erupted. In an instant, the surrounding temperature seemed to drop significantly. Many people were intimidated by this terrifying killing intent and took a few steps back. Geniuses all walk out from a sea of blood. This is even more so for the inner yard students. Then, I declare that the inner yard tournament begins. As his voice fell, countless tokens flew out and accurately landed in the hands of every student. In the next moment, the teleportation array flashed with purple light. A huge space door opened in midair. "Master, let's go in as well." Ling Yuhan smiled. Hearing this, Tianyang nodded slightly and walked toward the space door. At this moment, countless cold gazes with hidden killing intent were directed at Tianyang from all directions. Chapter 351. Whoosh! With a flash of silver light, Sky Sun's figure appeared beside a huge lake. This is the trial ground? Not bad. The spiritual chi here is much more abundant than the dragon-hidden ancient land, Tianyang said with a chuckle as he looked around. When he had stepped into the space door, he had felt the fresh spiritual chi of heaven and earth. Now that he was inside, it was really good. However, the random teleportation was really mysterious. He and Ling Yuhan had come in hand, but they could still be separated. This token contains information about the geography of the trial ground, as well as the points and ranking? Tianyang looked at the token in his hand and touched it with his soul power. Suddenly, a large amount of information flowed into his mind. The trial ground was a mystery land and a small world. There were complete rules of heaven and earth inside, but it was attached to the macro world, heaven continent. However, the spiritual chi in the trial ground was extraordinary. It was 2 or 3 times more abundant than in the firmament territory. It was a real cultivation treasure. 3 seas, 9 provinces, 1 island. 3 seas are barren, and 9 provinces are full of spiritual chi. I am now in Qingzhou. 9 provinces: Jizhou, Yenzhou, Qingzhou, Shuzhou, Yangzhou, Jingzhou, Yuzhou, Liangzhou, and Yongzhou. These 9 large islands formed the trial ground. They were also the main body of a prosperous small world countless years ago. Tianyang muttered to himself, and then continued to sort out the information. The last island is called Sky Blue Island. It is the island that gives the last opportunity to the top 110. As for the ranking, 10 masters, 100 kings. Tianyang was slightly surprised. He looked at the ranking mechanism and chuckled. Not bad. It is similar to the Sky Blue Sword sect 10,000 years ago. The 100 kings are the 100 out of the 110 people who have entered the inner yard. As for the 10 supremes, they are above the 100 kings ranking. They are the top 10 among all the students. 100 kings. You'll get a 4th grade Spirit Origin pill and a peak high grade artifact of your choice from the inner courtyard's weapon pavilion. 10 of them will cost at least 5 Spirit Origin pills, with the lowest being a quasi-spiritual artifact. The first place of the 10 paragons will be given the title of Young Paragon, and will receive 10 Spirit Origin pills and a low-grade spirit weapon. The Spirit Source pill was a 4th grade pill that could greatly increase a person's true essence. It was an extremely precious level-up pill. He had to admit that Sky Blue College was really generous to give out spiritual origin pills as a reward for the inner yard competition. Since he was already here, he might as well take things as they came, my ass. He, Tianyang, must seize the position of the young supremacy. Just as Tianyang retracted his consciousness, waves suddenly surged in the large lake beside him. Roar! A thunderous roar came from the lake. In the next moment, a ferocious blue crocodile broke out of the water and charged at Tianyang. Roar, roar, roar! The crocodile waved its sharp claws and condensed true essence claws. In the next moment, they all charged at Tianyang. A 3rd stage fiend beast, the aqua crocodile? This trial ground is indeed rich in spiritual chi. There are even such rare fiend beasts here. Sensing the terrifying aura coming from beside him, Tianyang suddenly grinned. Then, facing the attack, he did not even look and chopped out with his hand. Boom! The arm and the sharp claws collided fiercely, and instantly, a terrifying explosion erupted. The aqua crocodile roared, as if mocking this human for overestimating his own strength. It had been charging for this move for a long time. Even a cultivator who was half a step into the Dao Fire realm would be injured by this move. Not to mention this weak-looking human. The flesh and blood of a young human was the most delicious. Just as the aqua crocodile was thinking this, an even more ferocious and terrifying gust of wind attacked again. Roar! The aqua crocodile trembled and looked at the gust of wind in disbelief. This human actually used a hand chop to break the attack that it had been charging for a long time? However, it was not so easy to deal with it. Roar! The aqua crocodile roared, and in the next moment, the entire lake was set off with raging waves. The waves were used by the aqua crocodile to condense into a terrifying sharp claw. In the next moment, the monstrous sharp claw fiercely slapped towards the gust of wind. You actually have the talent to use the power of water? Unfortunately, you still have to die. Tianyang raised his eyebrows slightly and then laughed lightly. Instead, he stood with his hands behind his back and quietly waited for the result to appear. Seeing this scene, the aqua crocodile was even more furious. It once again condensed countless amounts of water power and transformed into a water claw. A terrifying aura was released. This claw was enough to instantly kill a 7th-level origin transformation realm cultivator. In the aqua crocodile's opinion, this young human would definitely not be able to block it. In the next moment, the two attacks directly collided. However, this time, it was not as intense as before. This gust of wind seemed to be unobstructed and directly cut the water claw into pieces like cutting tofu. In the next moment, it directly chopped off the aqua crocodile's head. The crocodile's head was sent flying as it violently spat out blood. Without any support, the water claw instantly turned into a pool of powerless lake water and crashed onto the ground. The water splashed everywhere, but it did not stain Tianyang's clothes at all. It was as if there was an invisible barrier around Tianyang's body. After casually killing the aqua crocodile, Tianyang's heart did not waver at all. After all, this aqua crocodile was really too weak. Although the half-true dragon body was not a complete true dragon body, it was still extremely extraordinary. Casually killing a aqua crocodile was already a disgrace to his status. Just as Tianyang was about to leave, a spatial fluctuation appeared behind him. In the next moment, a tall figure directly appeared behind Tianyang. Tianyang's expression slightly changed as he looked at the person. This person actually had the aura of a peak 9th-level origin transformation realm cultivator. This was not considered weak in the outer court of Sky Blue College. It's actually the aqua crocodile? Haha. I've struck it rich. That person seemed to have ignored Tianyang and looked directly at the crocodile head that fell not far away from him as he laughed loudly. After that, he looked at Tianyang and mocked. Where did this trash come from? Can't you see that it's your Grandpa Huang? Why aren't you scramming? If you don't scramming, my Grandpa Huang's broadsword will be stained with blood. That person laughed loudly. A light flashed in his hand, and a broadsword that looked like a butcher's knife appeared in his hand. The smell of blood slowly spread out, causing Tianyang to frown slightly. This person must have killed a lot of people. It's nothing good. If you want it, I'll give it to you. Tianyang could not be bothered with this person. He waved his hand and planned to leave. The aqua crocodile's scales were very sturdy. It was a good material to use to forge battle armor. However, Tianyang was not interested in it. However, when he heard this, that person's face instantly darkened. It's nothing? Are you looking down on me, Huang Yunkang? Then die. Chapter 352. Prepare to die. Huang Yunkang roared. In the next moment, the machete in his hand emitted a blood-red glow. Earth-class low-grade martial skill, bone-breaking slash. Huang Yunkang roared. The true energy of the peak 9th level of the origin transformation stage exploded. In the next moment, a blood-red glow was emitted from the machete. Seeing this, Tianyang's face darkened. He punched out with his right fist. Rolling dragon power exploded and shattered the machete. Then, Tianyang punched out again. A terrifying gust of wind hit Huang Yunkang's body and sent him flying. I have no enmity with you. Why did you attack me? Tianyang's face darkened. He had already given Huang Yunkang a lot of face. In the end, Huang Yunkang still attacked him? Did Huang Yunkong really think that Huang Yunkong was a sick cat if he didn't show his power? Hee hee. Huang Yunkong was sent flying, but he didn't suffer any serious injuries. After all, Tianyang didn't want to kill him for no reason. This punch only gave him a light injury. You have some strength. As for why you attacked me, Huang Yunkong's lips curled into a sinister smile. He laughed strangely and said, "Because you mocked me." In the next moment, Huang Yunkong waved his machete again and charged at Huang Yunkong. King retard. Tianyang was speechless. This guy was simply crazy. However, this person still had the intention to kill him. In that case, Tianyang could kill him directly. Prepare to die. Earth-class low-grade martial skill, heart-breaking slash. Huang Yunkong roared. In the next moment, the machete in his hand emitted a blood-red glow and slashed at Tianyang. The lake water boiled and the plants withered. This machete absorbed the life force of the surrounding creatures to strengthen itself. There's actually such an evil martial skill. Tianyang's expression didn't change. In the next moment, he punched out. With half of the true dragon body, he didn't need to use his sword to deal with someone like Huang Yunkong. You dare not use your sword? Seeing this, Huang Yunkong's face darkened. He clearly saw the scabbard on Tianyang's back. How dare you look down on me? Die. Heart-shattering slash, kill him. Huang Yunkong madly roared. At this time, the saber light that had absorbed a great deal of life force once again erupted with a blood-red light. It fiercely collided with Tianyang's fist. Boom. Waves of energy erupted as energy ripples swept outwards. Tianyang revolved his true essence, and the dragon force followed closely behind. Just like that, the fist and the saber light fiercely collided. Ha ha! Courting death. How can a body of flesh and blood contend against my heart-shattering slash? Seeing this, Huang Yunkong laughed maniacally. However, in the next second, his laughter suddenly froze. Boom! Another loud explosion rang out. However, this time, it was not a collision, but a shattering. Tianyang had merely used his flesh and blood to shatter the heart-shattering slash, a low-grade Earth-rank martial skill. How is this possible? Huang Yunkong's face changed as he stared at Tianyang's fist. How is this possible? How can a body of flesh and blood shatter my heart-shattering slash? You? Who exactly are you? Huang Yunkong said in horror. Just the strength of his physical body could easily shatter his heart-shattering slash. If he circulated his true essence, wouldn't that mean that he, Huang Yunkong, could even explode with a single punch? If the person in front of him was a few years older, Huang Yunkong wouldn't be so shocked. However, the person in front of him was only a teenager. He was just a teenager, yet he already had such terrifying combat strength. If he grew up in a few more years, wouldn't he dominate the entire Night Vault City? Wait a minute, your physical strength is terrifying, and you even know how to use a sword. Most importantly, your face is only that of a 15 or 16-year-old youth. You are the one who Elder Zhao issued the kill order, Tianyang. Huang Yunkong's body trembled as he roared crazily. He never expected that just as he was teleported in and wanted to kill someone to plunder their points, he would encounter a tough nut like Tianyang. At first, he thought that Tianyang was just an ant that could be easily killed, but he didn't expect Tianyang to be so strong. His strength was considered strong in the outer court of Sky Blue College, but in front of Tianyang, he couldn't even withstand a single blow. With Tianyang's strength, could it be that he wanted to make it to the 10 martial artists list? Elder Zhao? Kill order? Hearing this, Tianyang frowned slightly and looked at Huang Yunkong. Then, he snorted coldly. Tell me what's going on, and I can still give you a quick death. This person used a killing move right off the bat, and he even had a murderous intent. It was obvious that he wanted to kill him. Tianyang would never show mercy to someone who wanted to kill him. However, it wasn't a bad idea to get some information before killing him. No. No, if I tell you, Elder Zhao won't let me go. Huang Yunkang was trembling all over. Hearing this, Tianyang frowned slightly, then snorted coldly and pointed his finger. An extremely sharp sword finger instantly pierced through Huang Yunkang's right thigh, causing blood to gush out wildly. Ah! Huang Yunkang screamed as he lost his footing and fell to the ground. Then, Tianyang's cold voice rang out. If you tell me, I can still give you a quick death. If you don't, I'll make sure that Elder Zhao doesn't even have the chance to let you go. Hearing this, Huang Yunkang immediately stopped screaming. When he saw Tianyang's murderous gaze, his heart trembled, and he immediately spat everything out. Hearing this, Tianyang frowned. According to what Huang Yunkang said, Elder Zhao's kill order was not targeted at everyone, but at the powerful students like them. That was true. Ordinary students would only be courting death if they went against Tianyang. However, the contents of the kill order made Tianyang extremely angry. Killing Tianyang would give him 100,000 mid-grade spiritual stones and 3 spiritual origin pills. Killing Ling Yuhan would give him 50,000 mid-grade spiritual stones and 1 spiritual origin pill. Killing the flying sword would give him 10,000 mid-grade spiritual stones and countless restorative pills. Not only was he targeted, but even Ling Yuhan and the flying sword were implicated. Old dog. I can't kill you now, but I'll definitely kill the people of the Zhao family. Tianyang's tone was cold, as if he was going to slaughter the heavens and the earth. Seeing this, Huang Yunkang's face turned even paler. He was afraid that Tianyang would take his anger out on him and torture him to death. However, although Tianyang was furious, he didn't lose his mind. Instead, he looked at Huang Yunkang and said coldly, "Who is related to Elder Zhao by blood?" Hearing this, Huang Yunkang's body trembled. A chill ran down his spine and went straight to the top of his head. Tianyang was going to kill the people of the Zhao family. I know that you old and powerful people all have a list of names. The people of the Zhao family are on this list, Tianyang said coldly. This list was used by the old students to target and steal tokens. Although the flying sword was an old student, he didn't have it. However, he knew about it and told Tianyang about it when they were on their way. That was why Tianyang asked Huang Yunkang directly. Hearing this, Huang Yunkang trembled. Then, his face turned ashen. He knew that he was going to die, but if he didn't say anything, he would die a horrible death. Huang Yunkang took out a list from his space bag and handed it to Tianyang. Chapter 353. After killing Huang Yunkang, Tianyang did not stay by the lake for long. After all, the 20,000 people were randomly teleported to the 9 state. Tianyang had a very low probability of 2 people being teleported to the same place. I wonder where Yuhan and the rest are. The communication token can't reach them. Either they are in a special situation or they are too far away. Tianyang frowned and said softly. The communication token had its limitations. Once the distance exceeded a certain limit, it would not be able to reach them. After all, the communication token was not a legendary weapon. It was just an ordinary lower-grade weapon. Naturally, it would not be able to reach them at all times regardless of the distance. Among the 9 states, Yangzhou is the largest and Qingzhou is the middle. The probability of Yuhan and the rest coming to Qingzhou is not high. Tianyang frowned and put the communication token away. He looked at his own token. The token was not a student token. It was called the Heavenly Blue token. The Heavenly Blue token could be used as a point and store some information about the trial grounds. There was another special function to it. It could be assimilated. When Tianyang killed Huang Yunkang and took his Heavenly Blue token, he did not just throw it into his space bag. Instead, he needed his Heavenly Blue token to assimilate it. Only then would it be counted as a point. Tianyang only had 1 point. Among the 20,000 outer yard students, he was ranked around 6,000. It was not a good result. However, Tianyang did not mind. 2 months was long enough. It was long enough for him to plunder the 20,000 people. Not long after, Tianyang's expression changed as he noticed something strange in front of him. Damn it! Zhao Xing! I have no grudge against you. Why do you want to kill me? I have given you my heavenly blue token. Is that not enough? A young voice shouted from not far away. Then, another eerie voice was heard. Hee, what's the use of giving it to me? It's just a point. White Wolf, you must have a lot of treasures on you. With these treasures, I can enter the 100 Kings ranking and become an inner yard disciple. Upon hearing this, Tianyang's expression changed slightly. Zhao Xing? Thinking of this, Tianyang quickened his pace, pushed aside a bush, and saw the source of the sound. Two youths were engaged in an intense battle. However, one of the youths was clearly at a disadvantage. If there was no external interference, he would be killed in less than 3 minutes. At this moment, the two of them seemed to have noticed Tianyang's arrival, and the one who had the upper hand immediately bellowed. What are you looking at? Why aren't you scramming? Hearing this, Tianyang's expression remained calm. He stood where he was and watched the two continue to fight. At this moment, the weak young man hurriedly shouted, "Please lend me a hand." This person's name was Zhao Xing, and he was the third nephew of Elder Zhao of the outer court. He is extremely greedy. After he kills me, he will definitely kill you. Take everything you have. Damn it! What nonsense! Go to hell! Hearing this, Zhao Xing's face revealed a trace of anger. In the next moment, he channeled his true energy and his fingers bent like claws, viciously attacking White Wolf. Go to hell! Mystic Class Peerless Martial Technique, Wind Fang Claw. At this moment, Tianyang made his move. Mystic Class Martial Technique, Telepathic Sword Finger. Tianyang bellowed, and a dazzling sword radiance immediately exploded from the tip of his finger. In the next moment, it directly pierced through Zhao Xing's claw. Then, the sword radiance swept across and almost chopped off all of Zhao Xing's fingers. What? Seeing this, Zhao Xing's body trembled, and his face was filled with shock. With just one finger, Lin Fan broke his Wind Fang claw and even chopped off all of his fingers? This kind of ability was terrifying. However, in the next moment, the excruciating pain that came from all 10 of his fingers caused him to lose his mind. Ah! You actually chopped off my fingers! I want you dead! Zhao Xing roared crazily. In the next moment, his body trembled, and he shook off White Wolf, directly attacking Tianyang. However, Tianyang still looked calm. He tilted his head and said to White Wolf, "You said that this Zhao Xing is the third nephew of the outer yard Elder Zhao?" Hearing this, White Wolf was stunned, then nodded and said, "Yes. Be careful." Just as White Wolf's words left his mouth, Zhao Xing's body rushed in front of Tianyang. "You actually dared to chop off my fingers, go to hell." Looking at Tianyang with a ferocious expression, Zhao Xing threw a punch in the next moment. Earth Class Inferior Class Martial Technique, Crushing Fist. In the next moment, an incomparably large amount of true energy gathered, and a punch was thrown towards Tianyang's face. However, seeing this, Tianyang only smiled faintly. "You want to kill me with this little trick? Who gave you the confidence?" In the next moment, Tianyang smiled faintly. A dragon-shaped pattern flashed across his eyes, and a terrifying soul attack shot out from his eyes. Almost without any defense, before Zhao Xing's fist landed on Tianyang's body, his soul was shattered by the soul attack, and he died on the spot. Boom! A loud sound was heard, and White Wolf did not dare to look anymore. He had seen the power of Zhao Xing's crushing fist. If it was not for this Earth-class inferior class martial technique, he would not have been defeated so quickly even though he was at the 9th level of the origin transformation stage. However, after that, there was no Zhao Xing's smug laughter, which made White Wolf confused. Based on Zhao Xing's arrogant personality, shouldn't he be laughing wildly after killing his enemy? Opening his eyes in confusion, White Wolf was completely stunned by the scene in front of him. Ninth level of the origin transformation stage, as a disciple of the Zhao family, Zhao Xing, who had lived like a prince since young, was just dead? He actually has 16 points. TSK, I'm afraid this guy only killed weaklings. Tianyang picked up the space bag with practiced ease. After removing the remaining soul imprint, he took out Zhao Xing's sky blue token. When he transferred it to his sky blue token, Tianyang realized that Zhao Xing actually had so many points. With these 16 points, Tianyang's ranking instantly jumped from the 6,000th place to the 900th place. Although there was still a huge gap between him and the 100 Kings ranking and the 10 Martial Artists ranking. You killed Zhao Xing. White Wolf only reacted when Tianyang finished looting the spoils of war. He pointed his finger at Tianyang and said in disbelief, Zhao Xing, who had almost killed him, actually died at the hands of this young man just like that? Yes. Tianyang nodded slightly, then looked at White Wolf and smiled brightly. Thanks. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even have these 16 points. White Wolf was stunned when he heard this. Then, he cried out in disbelief. That's the third nephew of the outer court elder Zhao. You killed him just like that? He killed me, so I killed him. It's only right. Moreover, I killed that old dog's descendant. Tianyang laughed lightly, as if he did not care at all. Then, he looked at White Wolf and asked curiously. Chapter 354. Bai Lang was stunned when he heard that. His face turned red as he took a few steps back and pointed at Tianyang with a trembling finger. How did you know? Who can't tell? Tianyang pursed his lips. Although Bai Lang looked good on the surface, he was exposed when he scanned with his soul power. However, if Tianyang hadn't found this fellow a little familiar, he wouldn't have said anything. Bai Lang took Lin Fan's words seriously. His face turned red as he said, Really? Tianyang was speechless. I can't be bothered with you. I'm leaving. Tianyang was speechless. The leaderboard had just refreshed, and his original ranking in the hundreds had flown to the 1,000th place. Although he only had about 20,000 points in total, the repetition rate was very high because it was just the beginning. The people on the top 100 Kings ranking list only had about 30 points. None of the top 10 Kings ranking list had more than 100 points. However, the competition for the ranking list was the most intense at the beginning, but it was also the most meaningless. The real competition would begin in the last few days. Wait. Bai Lang called out to Tianyang when he turned to leave. May I know your name? If not for Tianyang, Bai Lang might have died in Zhao Xing's hands. She could not possibly not ask for the name of her savior. Tianyang. Tianyang replied calmly. In a flash, he left the place and disappeared into the mountains. As for White Wolf, he stood in his original spot with a puzzled expression and muttered, Tianyang? Why does this name sound so familiar? However, I should go and look for Senior Jiang first. The White Wolf muttered to himself, then walked in another direction. Where is this? Ling Yuhan looked at the pitch-black surroundings with a dumbfounded expression. There was no light above his head, and there was only solid rock beneath his feet. Everything around him was pitch black. Random teleportation was completely random, but it was impossible for him to appear directly underground. It doesn't matter. There seems to be a life aura coming from there. Let's go take a look. Ling Yuhan sighed softly and walked in a certain direction. A cold light flashed in her hand, and the cold sky sword, a low-grade spiritual weapon, appeared in her hand. At this moment, Ling Yuhan's battle prowess was not inferior to Zhao Shanhe's at all. Therefore, she was not afraid of being ambushed by magical beasts. Roar! At this moment, a terrifying beast roar came from the side. Ling Yuhan's expression changed slightly. She secretly activated the Ice Emperor's Heaven Sword art. Her aura instantly rose to the peak. In the next moment, a huge monster came out from the other side of the darkness. Its aura was infinitely close to rank 4, which was the aura of the Tao Fire Realm, and it came from its body. Immediately after, a sharp and fierce blade light shot out from the darkness and came in front of Ling Yuhan. If this attack hit, even if Ling Yuhan cultivated the Ice Emperor's Heaven Sword art, she would be severely injured. What? Ling Yuhan's expression changed slightly. Looking at the terrifying blade light, she suddenly slashed out with the Cold Sky sword in her hand. Earth middle grade martial technique, Ice Rending Slash. Boom. The blade light and the sword light shattered at the same time, illuminating the darkness. Ling Yuhan finally saw the face of the attacker. Dark Knight Magic Spider. So, I have been teleported into the cave. Its small eyes emitted a cold-blooded light, and its huge body almost filled the entire cave. Each of the 8 spider legs was at least 4 meters long. At the edge, there was a sharp edge like a blade. It was obvious that the powerful blade light from before had exploded from the legs of this huge spider. After identifying the species of the attacker, Ling Yuhan did not hesitate anymore. The Cold Sky sword in her hand flashed, and she used her movement technique to kill the Dark Knight Magic Spider. The Dark Knight Magic Spider was terrifyingly talented. Its 8 blade-like legs had a terrifying attack power, and it was bloodthirsty. If Ling Yuhan did not make a move, this Dark Knight Magic Spider would definitely make a move. Why not? Strike first and gain the upper hand. However, this Dark Knight Magic Spider was not good at making webs, so Ling Yuhan was not afraid of any traps here. Ice Emperor's Heaven Sword Art, First Style. Ling Yuhan shouted in a low voice, and the true origin of the peak 5th level of the Origin Transformation stage completely exploded. In the next moment, as if it came from ancient ice, the extreme cold air exploded from the Cold Sky sword. In the next moment, an extremely cold sword light directly slashed the Dark Knight Magic Spider's leg. Clang! A crisp sound of metal colliding rang out. The Dark Knight Magic Spider's body flashed, and it actually blocked the sword. However, seeing that her slash was blocked, Ling Yuhan was not discouraged at all. Instead, the corners of her mouth curled up into a trace of a smile. If the Ice Emperor's Heaven Sword art was so simple, it wouldn't be worthy of being a heaven-ranked cultivation technique. Freeze! Ling Yuhan smiled. In the next moment, a shocking chill exploded from the Dark Knight Magic Spider's leg. In the blink of an eye, it spread to the Dark Knight Magic Spider's entire body. In the next moment, a terrifying icy sword intent immediately shattered all of the Dark Knight Magic Spider's nerves, completely freezing it. Explode. After a delicate shout, the surface of the Dark Knight Magic Spider that had turned into a large block of ice suddenly spread out, and in the next moment, it directly exploded like a bomb. Boom! Ice shards flew everywhere, and the Dark Knight Magic Spider's body also became a part of the ice shard. Without any effort, Ling Yuhan killed the notorious Dark Knight Magic Spider. Luckily, this Dark Knight Magic Spider underestimated its opponent and blocked the first move of my Ice Emperor's Heaven Sword art, but did not continue to defend. Otherwise, the extremely cold air would not have entered so easily. At that time, a fierce battle would have been unavoidable. Ling Yuhan muttered. Just as she was about to leave, she saw the shining pearl on the spot where the Dark Knight Magic Spider had been. Ling Yuhan was slightly puzzled. At this moment, Qian Han's excited voice came from the Dark Soul Pearl in her body. This is the Dark Knight Pearl that is difficult to form even among 10,000 Dark Knight Magic Spiders. Your Highness's luck is really profound. If you obtain this Dark Knight Pearl, regardless of whether you refine it into a weapon or directly absorb it, you will be able to use it perfectly. Even Qian Han, who was a level 3 Tao Fire Realm elite, could not help but be excited. Ling Yuhan also knew the value of this Dark Knight Pearl. It was definitely not an ordinary treasure that could make an elite like Qian Han lose his composure. Moreover, this Dark Knight Pearl can also promote the evolution of your Highness' martial soul. Your Highness Martial Soul has already reached the peak of the three-tailed martial soul. If you obtain this Dark Night Pearl, you can even directly advance to the four-tailed Sky Moon Fox," Qian Han said. Hearing this, Ling Yuhan's eyes lit up. She stretched out her hand and wanted to keep the Dark Night Pearl. However, before she could do so, a strong suction force suddenly burst out and took the Dark Night Pearl. I did not expect that there would be such a treasure in this pitch-black cave. Chapter 355. There were countless treasures in the trial grounds. Although Ling Yuhan had long heard of this saying, he still did not expect that killing a Dark Night demonic spider would actually result in a treasure like the Dark Night Pearl being dropped. As a result, Ling Yuhan's speed was slightly slower, allowing that person to take the initiative. Haha. Other than treasures, there's also a beauty? At this moment, the arrogant voice sounded again. Ling Yuhan's face darkened, and the cold sky sword in her hand emitted a dazzling light. Currently, her combat power was no weaker than Zhao Shanhe's, and Zhao Shanhe's strength was considered top-notch among the hidden senior students. Even if she encountered the strongest ones, Ling Yuhan could survive. If she was slightly weaker, she might be able to fight them. This **T cave is too narrow. Break it. At this moment the voice sounded again. In the next moment, the terrifying true origin of a half-step to the Dao Fire Realm exploded. A dazzling light burst out from that person's hand, and in the next moment, it pierced through the entire mountain. With a little bit of force, it sent Zhao Shanhe flying. Sunlight poured down and shone on the two of them. Ling Yuhan's heart sank slightly. With a raise of his hand, he had shattered the mountain. Although he had only sent it flying and did not directly shatter it. However, this level of strength was at the very least a first-rate existence. He was second only to the strongest few. You're indeed a beauty. How can such a beauty not have anyone to rely on? Only I, Zhao Xingting, can be her guardian. That person laughed heartily. At this moment, Ling Yuhan quickly scanned him. His cultivation was at the half-step to the peak of the Dao Fire Realm. He looked a little handsome, but compared to the Tianyang in Ling Yuhan's heart, he was a far cry. However, this person's combat power was probably not at the peak of the half-step to the Dao Fire Realm. It would be very difficult to defeat him. Holding the cold sky sword tightly in her hand, Ling Yuhan's mind raced. Then, she chuckled. That Dark Night Pearl belongs to me. It would be better for you to return it to me. Ling Yuhan smiled, and the true yuan in her body flowed slowly. When Zhao Xingting heard this, he was also stunned, and then the corner of his mouth curled up into a lewd smile. Return it to you? It's fine, it's fine. As long as you come over, I'll return it to you. Zhao Xingting laughed sinisterly. Now, he was more than 100 meters away from Ling Yuhan. With such a distance, although he didn't need to spend even 0.1 seconds, it was very likely that Ling Yuhan would escape. However, if Ling Yuhan approached, it would be very easy for Zhao Xingting to catch her. Ah! Ling Yuhan was stunned, and then walked a few steps closer. Is what you said true? She had a delicate and weak expression on her face, which made people want to rush up and hug her tightly. Seeing this expression, Zhao Xingting immediately straightened his body. Then, Zhao Xingting let down his guard and tried to squeeze out the most gentle smile. Of course. How can I, Zhao Xingting, lie? Hurry up, hurry up. Zhao Xingting laughed. Hearing this, Ling Yuhan's expression didn't change, but she sneered in her heart. This idiot, did he really think of her as a sweet and naive girl? All right then, I'll hurry up. Ling Yuhan smiled and walked a few steps forward. At this moment, the vital essence in her body suddenly erupted. Her speed soared to the extreme in a short moment, making it impossible for people to see clearly. The power of an upper-grade Earth-class movement technique was fully displayed. What? Zhao Xingting was stunned. Then, he immediately saw Ling Yuhan, who was charging at him at extreme speed. His face suddenly sank. Are you playing with me? The vital essence in his body was about to circulate, but at this moment, a terrifying force of extreme cold was released from Ling Yuhan's sword and instantly froze Zhao Xingting. Then, a burst of vital essence directly took away the dark night pearl in Zhao Xingting's hand. In the next moment, the traceless water movement technique completely erupted and rushed out. Air-treading secret technique. Ling Yuhan shouted in a low voice and directly soared into the sky. Tianyang was not stingy with the air-treading secret technique. After successfully cultivating it in the dragon transformation pool, he passed it to Ling Yuhan. It seemed that without the guidance of the black stone slab, Ling Yuhan had not been able to cultivate it successfully. Not long ago she had successfully cultivated the first heaven. However, the first heaven was enough for her to escape. Damn it! How dare you play with me? After breaking free from the ice, Zhao Xingting's handsome face was immediately covered with a layer of haze. His face was so gloomy that it seemed as if water was about to drip out of it. In the next moment, he circulated his vital essence and actually soared into the sky. However, relying on his own vital essence to fly was far inferior to a strange secret technique like the air-treading secret technique. Even if Zhao Xingting released all the vital essence in his body, he could only watch as Ling Yuhan flew further and further away. Damn it! Zhao Xingting roared furiously. In the next moment, a light flashed in his hand and a spear appeared in his hand. High-grade Earth-rank martial skill, meteor penetration. In the next moment, the spear in Zhao Xingting's hand immediately transformed into a terrifying flowing light that fiercely shot towards Ling Yuhan. According to the might of this strike was at least capable of instantly killing an expert at the peak of the 9th level of the origin transformation stage. Ling Yuhan's face went grim. The sky frost sword in her hand instantly erupted with a terrifying light as she intended to block this strike. However, at this moment, a clear voice slowly sounded out. Zhao Xingting, as one of the top geniuses in the outer court, isn't it a bit too much to use a high-grade Earth-rank martial skill to deal with a young girl? Subsequently, waves of fluctuations suddenly arose in the heavens and the earth. In the next moment, a strange fist print directly blasted out. Bang! An enormous sound that was like thunder sounded out. In the next moment, the fist print and spear ceaselessly collided. In the end, it was the fist print that was superior and directly blasted the spear flying. Meanwhile, a peerlessly beautiful young girl slowly appeared in midair. Zhao Xingting's face went grim when he saw this young girl. He unwillingly withdrew his spear and coldly said, "Jiang Nanyu, I advise you to mind your own business. I know this person. Could it be that I have to look on helplessly as you kill her?" Jiang Nanyu's expression was cold and indifferent as she looked down at Zhao Xingting. Zhao Xingting's face went grim when he heard this, and he could only furiously put his spear back into his spatial bag. Jiang Nanyu can protect you for now, but can she protect you forever? The next time I see you, I'll surely rape you before killing you. Zhao Xingting spoke coldly. Ling Yuhan's face sank slightly when she heard this, and she similarly spoke coldly. The next time I see you, I'm afraid your head will already be separated from your body. Zhao Xingting's entire body shook when he heard this, and monstrous flames of rage burned in his eyes. However, he could only leave unwillingly after glancing at Jiang Nanyu. Jiang Nanyu only turned around when Zhao Xingting's figure disappeared into the distance. The indifference from before had also turned into gentleness. Ling Yuhan's heart skipped a beat when she saw this change. She seemed to have only met Jiang Nanyu once, and it was after Master killed Zhao Shanhe. In terms of friendship, they were not that close. Could it be Jiang Nanyu's next sentence directly raised Ling Yuhan's sense of crisis to the extreme? "You're someone close to Tianyang, right? May I ask, where is Tianyang now?" Chapter 356. Where's Tianyang? Jiang Nanyu asked. Ling Yuhan was slightly stunned. She did not understand why Jiang Nanyu asked that, but she shrugged and said, "I don't know." Jiang Nanyu looked disappointed. She did not even know where Tianyang's disciple was. Did that not mean that it would be extremely difficult for her to find him and apologize? There's a message? Jiang Nanyu was about to say something when she realized that the communication token in her space bag vibrated slightly. She exclaimed softly and took out the communication token. Then, the white wolf's energetic voice rang out in the air. Senior Sister Jiang. Senior Sister Jiang. Are you in Qingzhou? I found a treasure here. I can't get it alone. If you're here, come and help me, said Bai Lang hurriedly. Jiang Nanyu smiled helplessly when she heard that. Bai Lang was one of her juniors. However, for some reason, she had to disguise herself as a man. She was not very powerful, so it was not strange for her to look for her now. Okay, send me the location. I'll be there immediately. Jiang Nanyu replied briefly and received the location. Then, she turned around and smiled at Ling Yuhan. I see that you're free. Why don't you come with me? Hearing this, Ling Yuhan nodded, and continued to circulate the secret art of void treading, leaving together with Jiang Nanyu. 10,000 miles of Qingzhou, Yundang mountain range. Tianyang looked at the tall mountain peak in front of him. His eyes moved slightly. From the very beginning, the mountain began to shoot out rays of light unceasingly, causing the surrounding spiritual qi of heaven and earth to surge at an extremely fast speed. Tens of thousands of rays of light shot out, almost illuminating the entire sky. A tyrannical aura was also emitted from the mountain peak. Looks like there's a treasure. Tianyang chuckled. Whenever a treasure appeared, regardless of whether it was a medicinal herb, a weapon, or an elixir, it would cause a phenomenon. When a weapon appeared, it would have a spirit. When an elixir was formed, it would transform. Most treasures were like that. Looking at the spectacular sight of the rays of light, it was obvious that the treasure that appeared this time was definitely extraordinary. It's just that there are a bit too many people. Tianyang glanced at the increasing number of people around him and raised his eyebrows slightly. Naturally, it was impossible to hide this phenomenon. Although each of the 9 prefectures was tens of thousands of miles wide, it was not difficult for the students of Sky Blue College to cross them. This phenomenon was so spectacular that as long as it lasted for a little longer, it would attract all the students in Qingzhou, not to mention the small number of people here. In the training grounds, regardless of whether it was a new or old student, there would be a map stored in the Sky Blue token. Therefore, Tianyang knew the location of this place. Drifting Cloud Mountain Range. Could it be that the treasure is related to the Drifting Cloud Mountain Range? Tianyang's expression changed slightly as he looked at the mountain peak that was spewing out rays of light. As the wind and clouds surged, there were faint clouds gathering. If that was the case, then this treasure was even more extraordinary than he had imagined. However, this extraordinary treasure has attracted quite a number of people. Even the top powers on the 100 Kings ranking have come out. Tianyang chuckled and looked at the few people who stood out among the crowd. Every one of them had a powerful cultivation at the peak of the half-step to Dao Fire realm. In terms of strength, they might be even more powerful. It was no wonder that they could make it to the 100 Kings ranking in such a short period of time. Little trash, how dare you block my way? At this moment, a cold shout was heard. In the next instant, a strong gust of wind blew away the crowd in front of that person. Then, that person came to the bottom of the mountain. He was the closest to the treasure. His domineering behavior naturally made many people unhappy. However, when they saw that person's face, their expressions changed slightly and they did not dare to say a word. He is the 11th on the 100 Kings ranking. Lu Renjia. I can't afford to offend him. With such strength, it's no wonder that he can be so domineering. TSK, those who stood in front of him are unlucky. Everyone exclaimed. Hearing that, Lu Renjia raised the corner of his mouth and smiled proudly. His cultivation and strength were considered top-notch among the over 20,000 students who had participated in the inner yard competition. It was natural for him to be exclaimed by the crowd. At this moment, another 2 people ignored the people in front of them and rushed to the bottom of the mountain. They looked at the gradually dissipating light. When a treasure was born, it would trigger a vision of heaven and earth. This meant that the treasure was not ordinary. When the vision of heaven and earth disappeared, it meant that the treasure had been born. At that time, there would definitely be a bloodbath. 100 Kings ranking TSK. It's only a few dozen minutes since the start of the competition. In such a short period of time, even if one can become the first on the 10 Kings ranking, it won't be worth much. Without the strength to match it, it's all in vain. Tianyang smiled faintly and sighed casually. Hearing that, Lu Renjia, who had been charging forward, and the other 2 people instantly turned pale. Although Tianyang was just sighing casually, it had angered them directly. Lu Renjia, who had been proud of himself, immediately flew into a rage after hearing what Su Mo had said. "Little trash, what did you say?" A furious roar came out of Lu Renjia's mouth. The pressure of the peak of the half-step Dao Fire Realm erupted completely. The surging might continued to intimidate everyone, causing them to be unable to move. Countless people revealed shocked expressions as they looked at Lu Renjia. Lu Renjia actually had such strength. Even the other 2 people who had been enraged were shocked. They looked at Lu Renjia in shock. They did not expect him to have such strength. In the next moment, their faces turned grave. Lu Renjia's strength was extremely disadvantageous for them in the competition for the treasure. Oh! Tianyang's soul perception was amazing. Although he did not pay attention to Lu Renjia, he knew when Lu Renjia's aura exploded. Lu Renjia was coming for him. "What do you mean, oh?" Seeing Tianyang's nonchalance, Lu Renjia was even more furious. "Are you saying that I, Lu Renjia, am unworthy of being ranked 11th on the 100 Kings leaderboard?" Hearing that, Tianyang immediately understood. Lu Renjia must have taken his words to heart. "I'm just saying that the leaderboard has just started and is worthless. Only those who are truly powerful can get on it. I don't even know who you are. How would I know if you're unworthy of your title? Don't tell me you're feeling guilty?" The corners of Tianyang's mouth curved into a faint smile. Hearing that, the crowd was even more shocked. Who is this young man? Doesn't he know that Lu Renjia is ranked 11th on the 100 Kings leaderboard? How would he dare to offend someone with such strength? Humph, he must think that the strong will not bother to argue with the weak. However, Lu Renjia's temper is unusually bad. "This guy is mocking Lu Renjia. He's dead meat." The crowd sneered. As expected, Lu Renjia was instantly enraged. Chapter 357. "You're courting death," Lu Renjia shouted. In the next moment, the true vitality of a half-step to Dao Fire Realm surged in his body. Rolling pressure burst out and broke through the auras of countless people. It pressed down on their bodies, causing their faces to change color. Lu Renjia, who was ranked 11th on the 100 Kings ranking list, might really be worthy of his reputation. This guy is doomed. Even if Lu Renjia can't keep the 11th place on the 100 Kings list, he can still enter the inner yard. Those who can enter the inner yard are all geniuses. Someone is so stupid to offend a genius. He's dead meat. The crowd mocked mercilessly. In their opinion, Tianyang was a stranger. Obviously, he was not a big shot. As for the Outer Yard Genius Board, other than the ordinary students, most of the senior students did not care about the Outer Yard Genius Board. Naturally, they did not recognize Tianyang. Therefore, in order to please Lu Renjia, they did not hold back when they mocked Tianyang. "You dare to mock me, Lu Renjia? Then die. Repent for your sins when you're in hell," Lu Renjia roared. In the next moment, his fist exploded with unparalleled strength and punched toward Tianyang. In the crowd's opinion, if the punch hit, Tianyang's head would explode like a watermelon. Brother Xiao, aren't you going to do anything? At this moment, the other two people on the 100 Kings board were chatting. One of them even mocked him. If you're not on the 100 Kings board, you're just an ant. Moreover, this guy is not a disciple of an aristocratic family. He's just a commoner. What does it have to do with us, noble aristocratic families, if you want to kill a commoner? If Lu Renjiao wants to waste his energy, let him. The one who was addressed as Brother Xiao looked at Tianyang calmly and arrogantly. Then, he glanced at the tall young man beside him. What? Mu Chenfeng, are you going to do something? The tall young man, Mu Chenfeng, sneered. As you said, this guy is just a commoner. He's born to be lowly. We're just a bunch of nobles. Compared to them, we're so much nobler. Why would we need to do anything? After saying that, the two of them looked at each other and laughed loudly. At this moment, Tianyang raised his eyelids and chuckled in the face of the approaching gale. With your moral integrity? Hearing this, Lu Renjia couldn't help but fly into a rage and roar, Bastard, you're courting death. Earth Tier Superior Grade Martial Skill, Dragon Fist. Lu Renjia roared. The next moment, a dragon's roar erupted from his body. Lu Renjia's aura instantly soared to the extreme. It's Lu Renjia's Dragon Fist. He relied on this punch to be on par with a cultivator at the peak of the first level of the Dao Fire Realm. I never expected that he would actually use the Dragonquake Fist to deal with an ant. Serves him right. He clearly knew that Lu Renjia's strength far surpassed his, yet he still dared to mock him. If he doesn't die, who will? The passers-by mocked him. Hearing this, Tianyang merely smiled. Dragon Fist? Interesting. It's a pity that you haven't mastered it yet. The next moment, in Tianyang's heart, the Sky Dragon's dragon core rapidly circulated and a majestic dragon force was released. The sea of dragon force in his dantian also began to fluctuate slightly. In the next moment, countless dragon force condensed in Tianyang's fist. With a dragon's roar, it instantly exploded. Roar! With a terrifying dragon's aura, Tianyang's fist and Lu Renjia's dragon fist collided fiercely. Boom! A terrifying explosion erupted from the center of the collision. In the next moment, Lu Renjia's expression changed drastically. Just as he was about to withdraw his hand, he felt as if his hand was stuck to Tianyang's fist. He couldn't pull it away no matter how hard he tried. What kind of monster is this guy? Lu Renjia's expression changed drastically as he looked at Tianyang in horror. This skinny figure actually contains such a huge amount of power? Even he, who was known for his physical strength, could clearly feel that his physical strength was being crushed by Tianyang. He had been crushed to the point that he was covered in wounds. Why? Didn't you want to send me to hell? Why are you scared so quickly? Tianyang smiled lightly as he looked at the 2-meter-tall burly man, Lu Renjia. Didn't you want to exchange fists? All right, I'll satisfy you. In the next moment, Tianyang's true dragon force completely exploded. Boom! A terrifying explosion, even louder than before, rang out. Heaven and earth trembled as waves of energy surged. Countless people's expressions changed drastically as they retreated innumerable steps. Even the high and mighty Mu Chunfeng and Xiao Qingshan's expressions changed drastically. They hurriedly released their true origin and condensed a true origin shield in front of them. If not for this, they wouldn't have been able to withstand the terrifying shockwaves. Ah! An incomparably terrifying scream erupted from Lu Renjia's mouth. Rolling true origin surged out and poured into his fist. However, he only felt that his true origin was insignificant in front of this young man at the peak of the 8th level of the origin transformation realm. Even the physical strength that he was so proud of was like an ant in front of this young man. It was laughable that he had mocked him like this before. Let go of me! Lu Renjia struggled madly, but how could Tianyang let him do as he wished? The dragon force completely exploded and barbarically broke through Lu Renjia's body's defenses, directly pouring into Lu Renjia's body. In the next moment, Tianyang directly punched out. The monstrous force directly sent Lu Renjia's enormous body flying. Tianyang's body wasn't considered tall, but he sent the 2-meter-tall Lu Renjia flying. Such a visual impact caused countless people to be dumbfounded. Boom! An explosion rang out. Everyone hurriedly looked over and saw that Lu Renjia's body was almost embedded in a mountain peak. Moreover, the right arm that used the Dragonquake fist in an attempt to kill Tianyang was hanging limply. Some people with sharp eyes immediately saw Lu Renjia's current situation. His right arm is crippled. When this person cried out, everyone was shocked and hurriedly looked at Lu Renjia's right arm. Those who were able to become cultivators all had extremely shocking eyesight. Now that they looked carefully, they naturally saw the condition of Lu Renjia's right arm. His entire right arm seemed to have no support as it hung limply. It was obvious that all the bones were shattered. As for Lu Renjia himself, fresh blood violently spurted out, almost dyeing his entire body red. Seeing this, everyone couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. They turned their heads to look at Tianyang, who had a warm smile on his face. Their gazes revealed incomparable shock. This person was actually ruthless to this extent. Whichever arm you use to touch me, I'll cripple that arm. I'm very clear when it comes to settling accounts. Tianyang lightly laughed. Hearing this, everyone, including the previously high and mighty Shao Qingshan and Mu Qinfeng, also heard him. Chapter 358. In the end, after Tianyang killed Lu Renjia with a single punch, no one dared to challenge Tianyang anymore. Even Shao Qingshan and Mu Qinfeng, who were on the 100 Kings ranking, did not dare to look at Tianyang. Tianyang's cultivation was ordinary. He was at the bottom of the pile of people at the foot of the mountain. However, the terrifying combat strength that he unleashed was shocking. He was only at the peak of the 8th level origin transformation stage. Among the 20,000 participants, there were a few who could easily surpass him. However, with such a weak cultivation, he killed Lu Renjia with a single punch. Lu Renjia, who was ranked 11th on the 100 Kings ranking. Even if Mu Qinfeng and Shao Qingshan joined forces, they would not dare to say that they could defeat Lu Renjia. However, Tianyang did it with a single punch. Therefore, many people retreated in fear. For a moment, Tianyang was the only one around him. The rest of the place was empty. Mu Qinfeng and Shao Qingshan looked solemn as they stared at Tianyang. They did not expect this young man to be so powerful. They had not seen him on the 100 Kings ranking and the 10 Kings ranking. They were unfamiliar with him, and he had always been calm. However, he had just revealed his identity that could easily kill them. Shao Qingshan, do you know who he is? Mu Qinfeng's face darkened as he sent a voice transmission to Shao Qingshan. Shao Qingshan was ranked 89th on the 100 Kings ranking. Mu Qinfeng was ranked 61st on the 100 Kings ranking. Both of them were not weak. Ever since they had reached this ranking, they had been looking down on everyone. Previously, they had even mocked Tianyang. However, in the blink of an eye, Tianyang had killed Lu Renjia. It was a slap to their faces. I don't know, but I think he looks familiar, Shao Qingshan muttered. Shao Qingshan pondered for a moment and took a closer look at Tianyang. He vaguely felt that Tianyang looked familiar. As Elder Zhao had issued the kill order on the spur of the moment, only some of the top experts knew Tianyang's face and name. Therefore, Shao Qingshan had only heard of Tianyang's face. He did not know that Elder Zhao had issued the kill order on Tianyang. Someone who can make an impression on Shao Qingshan shouldn't be a nobody. Mu Qinfeng was confused. Mu Qinfeng was also puzzled. At this moment, a weak and furious voice came from behind. This person is Elder Zhao of the Outer Court, Heavenly Son, the one who issued the kill order. In the next moment, Lu Renjia's tall figure appeared beside the two of them. He gritted his teeth as he looked at Sky Sun, wishing he could swallow him whole. If this was a normal battle, It wouldn't be shameful for him to be defeated like this. However, Tianyang had only used one punch to kill him. He, the 11th on the 100 Kings leaderboard, had been defeated just like that. Moreover, the bones in his right arm had almost turned into dust. Unless he had a level 5 life and death spiritual molding pill, his right arm would be crippled. However, although Lu Renjiao was talented, how could he have obtained a level 5 life and death spiritual molding pill? Therefore, Lu Renjiao's right arm was hopeless. His hatred for Tianyang had reached its peak. Elder Zhao? Kill order! Xiao Qingshan and Mu Chunfeng were stunned. They immediately reacted. It's him? That's right, Lu Renjia said viciously. As long as we announce this news, Elder Zhao's generous rewards will attract countless people. By then, Tianyang will be the enemy of the whole world. He won't be able to live even if he wants to. Xiao Qingshan and Mu Chunfeng suddenly understood. They smiled coldly. Why don't we announce it after the treasure fight? Now that everyone is shocked by Tianyang's strength, they won't dare to make a move. But when it's time to fight for the treasure, it'll be perfect to announce it to the public. By then, it'll be chaos to fight for the treasure. With the generous rewards, there will be brave men. This group of lowly people will definitely attack. By then, the three of us will join forces and kill this Tianyang. We'll take all his treasures and even his head to receive the rewards. Mu Chunfeng smiled coldly. His handsome face was full of viciousness. Hearing that, Lu Renjia and Xiao Qingshan immediately came to a realization. Their gazes toward Tianyang also became hostile. In their opinion, Tianyang must have treasures with him for him to have such combat strength. If he obtained the treasures, his strength would definitely improve greatly. He might even be able to enter the ranking of the 10 martial artists, or even become a young supremacy. Tianyang had already noticed the commotion. Looking at the three people's cold expressions, how could he not know what they were thinking? However, Tianyang merely smiled at this. In the face of tyrannical strength, all schemes and machinations were nothing but an illusion. With his strength, he could completely defeat this group of people. Why would he need to play with their brains? At this time, the light in the sky had completely dissipated. The mountain peak shook, the clouds surged, and the entire mountain range started to rumble. Rumble! The deafening sound almost spread throughout the entire Yundang mountain range. In the next moment, a bright golden light pillar suddenly shot up into the sky. Within the pillar of light, there was an ancient scroll that was shining brightly. The treasure had appeared. Charge! Everyone roared. Those who could fly soared into the sky. Those who could not fly used their own techniques and exploded with extreme speed. Lu Renjia and the other two immediately soared into the sky and charged towards the ancient scroll. Tianyang, on the other hand, was neither hurried nor slow. As he looked at the crowd, he quietly executed a secret technique and leisurely rose into the air and flew towards the ancient scroll. Ha ha! I got it! I got it! From the foot of the mountain to the top, it was only a breath's time. In just a few seconds, someone had grabbed the ancient scroll and started to laugh wildly. Seeing this, Lu Renjiao and the other two's faces turned gloomy. How dare an ant fight with me? Die! In the next moment, the three of them attacked together. Terrifying true origin surged and turned into violent attacks that bombarded that person's body. Boom! With a loud sound, the entire space on the top of the mountain trembled slightly. Under the attacks of the three, that person did not even have time to scream before he died. His entire body exploded into a cloud of blood mist and disappeared in midair. Hiss! Everyone could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Even their running bodies could not help but stop. Less than a second after obtaining the treasure, he had died. This was really too terrifying. Ha ha! Lowly people are lowly people. How could a lowly person obtain such a treasure? In the end, it's still mine. Mu Chunfeng laughed wildly. Suddenly, he exploded with his fastest speed and closed the distance between them. Seeing this, Lu Renjiao and Xiao Qingshan's faces changed drastically. Damn it! Stop right there! Just as Mu Chunfeng was about to grab the ancient scroll, suddenly, a stream of light flashed. A powerful hand firmly grasped the ancient scroll. Then, a chuckle was heard. Sorry, this thing. Chapter 359. I want it. These three simple words, coupled with Tianyang's action of withdrawing his hand, completely infuriated Mu Chunfeng. Heavens! Yang! Mu Chunfeng roared, his eyes turning red. If not for Tianyang's sudden appearance, he would have snatched the ancient scroll and fled in the chaos. What about joining forces to kill Tianyang and splitting the treasures? These were all Mu Chunfeng's side of the story. His goal had always been this ancient scroll. However, the ancient scroll that was about to fall into his hands was gone. A terrifying aura exploded from Mu Chunfeng's body. His handsome face became ferocious and terrifying. Then, Mu Chunfeng suddenly roared. This guy is the heavenly son that Elder Zhao issued a must-kill order to kill. As long as we kill him, not only will we be able to obtain his treasures, we will also be rewarded by Elder Zhao. Quasi-spiritual weapons, high-grade artifacts, and all sorts of elixirs. Mu Chunfeng roared crazily. His voice was like thunder, spreading throughout the entire sweeping cloud mountain range. In the next moment, the entire sweeping cloud mountain range was in an uproar. Quasi-spiritual weapons, high-grade artifacts, all sorts of elixirs, and all sorts of treasures on Tianyang's body. Any one of these items was enough to make them go crazy. Furthermore, as long as they killed Tianyang, they would be able to obtain all of these. I don't believe that a mere 8th-level origin transformation stage martial artist can be that strong. These treasures are all mine. One of them was blinded by the treasures. He immediately channeled his true origin and charged towards Tianyang. With one person taking the lead, the rest of the people were also stirred up. Their greed for the treasures all exploded at this moment. Lu Renjia, Xiao Qingshan, hurry up and help me suppress Tianyang. When the time comes, other than this ancient scroll, everything else will be yours. Mu Chunfeng turned his head and said to Lu Renjia and Xiao Qingshan. Hearing this, the two of them were moved. Although they were angry because of Mu Chunfeng's sudden attack, Mu Chunfeng's offer had moved them once again. Other than the ancient scroll, everything else would belong to the two of them? Alright. Xiao Qingshan was the first to nod and agree. The next moment, he looked coldly at Tianyang and charged out. A mere ant dares to come out and make a ruckus? Die. Earth Tier Mid-Grade Martial Skill, Imperial Suppressing 9 Extremes Fist. In the next moment, the surging true essence turned into streams of sovereign qi and wrapped around Xiao Qingshan's fist. He then charged toward Tianyang. Emperor Suppressing 9 Extremes Fist was the Xiao clan's signature martial skill. According to legends, it had once killed a Sea of Soul Realm Emperor. Therefore, when Xiao Qingshan used the Huang Suppressing 9 Extremes Fist, Mu Chunfeng sneered. Xiao Qingshan was the son of the first wife of the Xiao family. He had been cultivating the Huang Suppressing 9 Extremes Fist since he was young. He was only a step away from that ethereal and elusive martial Dao concept. When this peak mid-grade Earth rank martial skill was executed, its might was not the slightest bit inferior to a high-grade Earth rank martial skill. In Mu Chunfeng's opinion, Tianyang must die. Die! Xiao Qingshan roared furiously. His sovereign qi surged, and his fist contained supreme power as it charged toward Tianyang. Seeing this, Tianyang's expression did not change. He chuckled lightly. Your martial skill is not bad, but I'll give you a word of advice. If you don't enter the intent realm, you won't comprehend the martial soul. In the next moment, the surging true essence in Tianyang's body circulated. He still did not pull out the killing sword on his back. Instead, he guided the surging dragon force and condensed it on his right fist. This Dragon King Divine Fist is yours! Roar! The Dragon King's roar resounded through the clouds. In the next moment, the two fists collided violently just like that. Boom! The entire sweeping cloud mountain range shook. The clouds in the sky were scattered by the aftershock of this punch, and the mountain below their feet was almost shattered. What? Seeing this, Xiao Qingshan's expression changed drastically. He could clearly feel that his Huang-suppressing Nine Extremes fist was fiercely suppressed by Tianyang's punch. It was almost a crushing defeat. How is this possible? How is this possible? How can an outer court martial artist at the 8th level of the origin transformation stage possibly crush me in a fist technique? Xiao Qingshan was almost mad as he stared fixedly at Tianyang. Damn it! Low-grade Earth rank martial spirit Qingshan. A towering green mountain appeared behind Xiao Qingshan. Instantly, Xiao Qingshan's strength started to madly increase. In a short few seconds, it had increased to more than twice its previous strength. Martial spirit? Not bad, but unfortunately, it's useless. A light flashed in Tianyang's eyes as he chuckled lightly. The might of the Dragon King Divine Fist completely erupted. Roar! The Dragon King's roar caused the Green Mountain to collapse. Under Xiao Qingshan's astonished gaze, his unbreakable low-grade Earth-rank martial spirit actually burst out with countless cracks in an instant. In the next moment, the entire Qingshan martial spirit collapsed. Tianyang's eyes flashed as the Skycloud Sword's devouring force condensed on his fist, directly devouring the low-grade Earth-rank martial spirit completely. In an instant, Tianyang's aura increased by a lot, and the might of the Dragon King Divine Fist also increased once again. Boom! The last loud sound represented the collapse of the Huangzhen Nine Extremes Fist, which had reached the half-step will realm. Following the collapse of the Huangzhen Nine Extremes Fist. When the Huangzhen Nine Extremes Fist collapsed, Xiao Qingshan's chest was also hit by the roaring dragon. His entire body instantly collapsed. Just like the person that the three of them had joined forces to kill previously, Xiao Qingshan's body exploded and turned into a cloud of blood mist. He was completely dead. Xiao Qingshan, 89th on the top 100 Kings board, was dead. With Xiao Qingshan's death, the interspatial bag naturally became an ownerless item. Tianyang did not hesitate as he stretched out his hand and waved it, directly putting it into the interspatial bag. After that, Tianyang casually threw out a punch, exploding with a heavy fist print. It directly bombarded the people on the mountain who had wanted to kill him to claim the reward. Everyone was killed. Tianyang was not interested in their interspatial bags at all. After putting their sky blue tokens into the interspatial bag, he continued to raise his head and looked at the two people in front of him. I wonder if the two of you would like to commit suicide or be killed by me? Hearing this, Lu Renjiao and Mu Chenfeng's eyes widened and they were furious. You actually killed Xiao Qingshan. Mu Chenfeng shouted angrily. Lu Renjiao's face was gloomy. You only killed Xiao Qingshan and you are so arrogant. Mu Chenfeng, if the two of us join forces, we can still kill Tianyang. Hearing this, Mu Chenfeng nodded and looked coldly at Tianyang. Today you must die. Then, their auras surged and they both reached the peak of their cultivation realm. Mu Chenfeng held a long saber in his hand and stared at Tianyang. As for Lu Renjia, he took out a huge axe. Blood light flashed and his anger was mixed with killing intent. His face was filled with rage. In an instant, the two of them also summoned their martial souls. Earth Lower Class Martial Soul, Chaotic Shadow Saber. Earth Lower Class Martial Soul, Bloody Sacred Axe. The two of them stared at Tianyang and in the next instant, charged at him. Earth Upper Class Martial Technique, Ghost Shadow Soul Destruction / Earth Peerless Class Martial Technique, God Slaying Axe. The two of them roared and charged at Tianyang.